Oh, baby. It is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It is Rick Kamla. Below me, we have Dr. X, the founder, the creator, sports medicine radiologist, owns a team in the TBT. He's a man about town in Manhattan in L.A. Speaking of L.A., we got A.M. Pfeffer holding it down in our L.A. studios, anchor, author, businessman, and lower left, we have Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend, pro basketball player as well, TSN correspondent, and we are ready to go. We have a big guest today, guys. We have Lionel Hollins, who is a walking NBA history book with all the coaching jobs and all the playing days, won a championship with the 1977 Blazers. He'll be joining us at about 2:30 Eastern. So let's dive in. And the biggest topic in the NBA right now is OKC. I mean, what they're doing is unbelievable. And they've anesthetized and maybe bored some to sleep. But if you like winning and greatness and championships, like we're watching it unfold right now. Will OKC break the Warriors' 73-9 record? We talked about this about a month ago, but we got to bring this back. OKC hasn't lost since we last had that conversation. They're 24-1, 16 straight wins. Guys, they're on pace for 78.7 wins, okay? They have the best record in NBA history through 25 games, tying the Warriors of 2019 at 24-1. Just in case you're wondering, the 95-96 Bulls that won 72 games were 23-2, okay? So that's where OKC's chilling right now. They have the best point differential in NBA history through 25 games by 1,000,000 points. They're a plus 439. Okay, the Celtics in 1967 were a plus 380. Okay, they are shattering all of this stuff. Early in the season, I said that they will tie the Warriors at 73-9. Okay, I'm changing that. They're going to break this record, guys. I got them at 75-7. That's my final answer here. Guys, injuries don't matter to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They don't. Hartenstein or Chet or Dort. They missed J-Dub for 18 games or whatever. They won every one but one of those games. It's unbelievable. And guys, if they win this chip, and if they make winning this chip look easy, then they will have a legitimate claim. The 25-26 Thunder could be the best team in NBA history. Okay, so I got 75-7, Dr. X. How about you on OKC here?
Well, let me ask you first, do the cup championships actually count?
The cup game
As
counted.
wins? Yeah.
I believe the Saturday cup game counts, and then I think the cup final does not. That's a really good question, though, because that cup final, like they don't do stats on it. It doesn't end up in the win-loss because it throws off the number of games and all that kind of stuff. That's a good question, Doc.
Well, I agree with you, Rick, only because I feel like this OKC team can weather the storm when it comes to injuries because of their depth. But I think it's more so their system, like how they play. I just think their system affords them to like really make sure that they're able to weather any storm that comes at them. Other teams I don't think are built like that. And as you see, a lot of people are either going to be not playing a game, or they're going to be rested, or they might get injured on other teams. I just don't feel like, from what I'm seeing right now, I can't look at any West team and be like, all right, this is the team that's going to give them at least 2 to 3 L's. The only team I thought could do that would be the Houston Rockets, and they already lost in like double, triple overtime in the first game of the season.
Yeah, indeed they did, man. So Doc's at 75-7. Dwight Walton, how about you, man? Call your shot. Are the Oklahoma City Thunder going to beat the Warriors' record of 73-9?
You know what, fellas, based on what we saw the Thunder do last season, they finished 68-13 or 68-14. Whatever they can do right now, if they could just get 2 more wins and get to 70, Rick, they could absolutely get to your prediction of 75-7. They're young. They seem to withstand the injury bug just fine. They compete. If you watch them, they compete on both ends of the floor every game. And then when you can have your superstar or your main 3 players be able to sit out multiple fourth quarters That's just going to lend to more rest, less injury risk, and then I think the closer it gets towards the end of the season, yes, the pressure will mount. The media will flock into Oklahoma City. It'll be a question that they'll be asked time and time again. Will it become a distraction? But knowing this group, knowing how SGA is the leader, how the rest of the players fall into place and understand that SGA is the leader, that's why this team is easy for Mark Daniel to coach. He doesn't have any prima donnas, doesn't have any stars that he has to deal with in terms of high maintenance. The culture has been built. Again, if they can withstand the injury bug, which they have so far this season, and once the pressure mounts towards the end of the season, again, they won 68 games last year. They're going to win 70 games this year. Can they get to the 73 to 77 mark? Right now they're on pace to win 77 games. Is that realistic? I don't think it is, because the NBA season is a marathon, not a sprint. But I would love to see this group A win the NBA Cup championship, and then B, supplant their legacy as the best team in NBA history by winning at least 74 games and then winning the NBA championship. Because a lot's going to be said. If you go on to beat the Golden State Warriors record and then not finish the job by winning the championship, that's going to be a topic of conversation for years to come. But this team is young, they're hungry, they're motivated. I truly believe they'll get to at least 75 wins, and they'll win the NBA championship.
Woo! AM Pfeffer, are we 4 for 4? Will the Oklahoma City Thunder break the Warriors 73-9 record?
OKC YDC, hashtag YDC, if you know, you know. Look, we discussed this a couple of weeks ago. I had them over at that time. Why am I going to change my answer now? Yes, they're going to break the record. I want to go a little bit deeper here for a second. You guys covered enough. You don't need me extrapolating too hard on this. I just think it's so cool as a small market team that they are ground zero for the face of the NBA right now and are positioned to be that way for a good 5 to 10 year run with all their draft picks and how good Sam Presti is. And what do I mean by small market team? There are really 4 major small market teams. You're talking about the Utah Jazz, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Milwaukee Bucks, and then the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that really just speaks to the idea of about 1.5 million people or less in the metropolitan area. Like if you look at Detroit or Cleveland, they actually have fewer people in the specific cities. Like Oklahoma City has a sizable amount of people in the city itself, but in the metro area, you look at Cleveland or Detroit or a few other teams, Toronto, and you're well over 2 million people. And there's really only 4 teams like that are 1.5 million people or less. So I personally think it's really cool. Just like I think it's cool that Kansas City, Missouri is ground zero and has been for nearly a decade in football, and the Chiefs and what they're accomplishing. I'm Americana, man. I'm a big proponent. And I love the fact that the middle of the country has the best team in the nation. And this is what's cool about the NBA. It doesn't have to be the Lakers. It doesn't have to be the Celtics, though you can root for those teams and you can be part of those fan bases and you can love the NBA as Doc and I do for our New York Knicks. And they're certainly up and comers, but it's just really, really cool to see Oklahoma City be at the top of the food chain and with a very good chance of surpassing the Warriors record. And I think that they do.
AM Pfeffer, Rick Kamla, Dwight Walton, and Dr. X. We all have the Oklahoma City Thunder beating the Warriors record of 73-9. Do you? Leave some comments, subscribe to us on the X-Rated Sports Network YouTube channel. That would be cool. We keep the OKC conversation going here, guys. We haven't talked NBA MVP in a couple of weeks. And I got a couple of points I want to make here about SGA. And I'm going to give you my MVP top 5. Number 1 is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If you're going to go back-to-back, I want to see stat improvements to go along with the gaudy record. Like if Shai was averaging 27 PPG, right, down about 5 off of last year, he wouldn't be up this high, okay? He may be 5 or something, but he's doing what he did last year and then some, okay? He's having a better year than he did last year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right now, second in the league in scoring, not leading the league. That's Luka at 35 a game. By the way, put that to bed. That's Luka's, okay? That race is already over. Shai is at 32.6 points per game in 33.1 minutes. The last time we had a guy go point per minute like this, it was Wilt Chamberlain back in 1962. Okay, hop in the time machine. Head on back to 1962. Okay, it was really dusty back then. All right. So in terms of SGA, he's at a career high 6.5 assists, 2.2 defensive stats. He's at 1.5 steals, 0.7 blocks. Typical stuff there. Career high from 3. All right. Shai is making 2.2 per game, shooting 45% from downtown. Shai. Okay, scary, right? Career high field goal percentage at 56%. Career high on 2-point shots, 60%. Career high on effective field goal percentage, 62%. Second lowest turnover rate of his career, 1.8 turnovers per game. And he's playing the lowest minutes since his rookie season. Number 2, I've got Jokic. Duh. Number 3, I've got Luka. I would love to put Luka on top of this list. The stats are amazing. The Lakers are very, very good. Sorry. You guys got to go get it from Shai. All right, he ain't giving this up. Number 4, Cade Cunningham. Number 5, Tyrese Maxey. AM Pfeffer, you first on this. You've been on SGA for MVP. Has anything changed with that, or is SGA still the NBA MVP?
You know something, Rick? It has changed. I didn't think I was going to find myself here, but I was prepared for this conversation today, knowing that we would have an NBA MVP conversation today. I'm just as surprised as you. I see the look on your face. I'm going to join you. This is me to myself. I'm actually putting Jokic ahead of SGA today by this much. Why? How did I arrive at this conclusion? It's the advanced metrics. I have to say it. You just got to dive a little bit deeper into what's going on. SGA, again, doesn't necessarily deserve to have done anything to lose, and he has stepped up his game, to lose the MVP that he had last year, and he stepped up his game. I get all of that. But Jokic, my man, highest PER in the league, okay? True shooting percentage of over 7. It's 0.727, all right? That is like, if he ends it this season, that's going to be the highest in NBA history. His assist percentage is nearly 50%. That's almost a full 10% higher than Luka and 20% higher than SGA. He's got the highest offensive win share percentage in the league, the highest offensive win shares in the league. He has the highest offensive box plus minus, the highest defensive box plus minus, even higher than SGA, and he has the highest value over replacement player in the league. I'm a big proponent of that specific box. He checks almost all the boxes in the advanced metrics right now. Shai's a close second in a lot of them, but he just at this moment isn't touching what Jokic is doing. I'm sorry to say. Jokic is on the floor night in and night out, and it's not fair to say this to SGA, but the Thunder blowing everybody out of the building so hard that he doesn't even have to play a lot of the fourth quarters. And, you know, that's actually hurting his advanced metrics a little bit. Jokic, it's absurd. The numbers are absurd. And again, I'm just as surprised as you to find myself here. But I am veering a little bit even further with you on who you have as the top 5. SGA is obviously the number 2, and we might have this conversation in a couple weeks, and I'll put him back at number 1. You know who I have at number 3? It's not Luka. And I don't even have Cade in the top 5. It's Maxey. Again, he's the only player in the league with over 900 minutes, okay? He ranks 3rd in value over replacement behind Jokic and SGA. And again, I'm a big proponent of that particular stat, all right? And those 3 guys are the only 3 guys in the league above 2.0. So again, it's hard because obviously you look at Luka and it's like, are you kidding me? He's 35-9-9. The Lakers have the record that they do. But guess what? A lot of that has gone to what JJ Redick has been able to do, and he has the team playing well defensively on certain nights. And Austin Reeves, from a PER basis, is also top 12 in the league. So as amazing as Luka's been, nobody else who's in the MVP conversation has any running mate as good as what Austin Reeves has been doing. But that also speaks to Cade Cunningham, because Cade, guess what? Jalen Duren has a higher PER than you. And if that's the case, if Jalen Duren, your center, has a higher PER than what Cade's doing, I'm not putting Cade in the top 5 for the conversation. So to me, it's Jokic, it's SGA, it's Maxey, it's Luka. And my number 5 guy is actually Donovan Mitchell. Again, VORP. He is 5th in the league. He's 7th in the league in PR. You can make all the head gestures that you want and all of that. Dwight, I get it, but Cleveland has clearly a losing record without what Donovan Mitchell has been doing. He's that important to the team this year because Garland has been out, and even when he's been in, he has not been the same player. Allen and Mobley are doing good things, certainly, but the team is obviously mid right now. I still think that they have a surge in the second half of the season when Garland figures it out and the backcourt comes back and they start playing a different brand of basketball, the Cleveland Cavaliers brand of basketball that made them so good last year. But Donovan Mitchell himself, in some of his advanced metrics, yes, they are better across the board. Cade Cunningham has been tremendous. No question about it. The Detroit Pistons have been tremendous right now. But Jalen Duren has some statistics that actually are above what Cade Cunningham's doing. And again, you take Donovan Mitchell off the Cleveland Cavaliers, they clearly have a losing record. That's my top 5. Jokic, SGA, Maxey, Luka, Donovan Mitchell.
All right, Dwight Walton, you have been gesturing. You have been throwing your hands up, throwing your head back. Okay, come on in here.
You know what, fellas? Now, I think we need to make this clear. Nikola Jokic is now in the Michael Jordan / LeBron James category, to where he basically should win the award every year because of the numbers analytically that AM so astutely pointed out. But I'm not going to sit here and discredit SGA for the dominance and because he doesn't play in the fourth quarter. This dude has improved in every statistical category known to the NBA analytical field. He's an even better player right now on the defensive end. Again, if you watch SGA and that collective OKC Thunder roster as a whole, they compete their tails off defensively, and that includes their best player, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So right now, I'm not going to penalize him. I understand, AM, to your point about the analytics in regards to Nikola Jokic. And yes, I was one of those guys last year that had Jokic as the MVP over SGA. But this year, I'm not going to penalize SGA. He's the best player in the league, on the best team, on the most dominant team. And yes, how many fourth quarters has SGA sat out this season so far? Was it 8, 9? I've lost count. It's not his fault. The other night in the NBA quarterfinals against the Phoenix Suns of the NBA Emirates Cup, he scored 28 points in 27 minutes. You talk about efficiency, that's efficiency at an elite level. So right now, for my money, SGA is on clearly the best team. So I'm going to reward him by having him as my early MVP winner so far this season. Nikola Jokic is definitely going to be second because of the numbers mentioned, and we really don't have to discuss how valuable he is to the Denver Nuggets. He may be, I know I might be speaking out of both sides of my mouth right now, but I don't think there's any player more valuable to a franchise than Nikola Jokic is right now. So that being said, I have him second behind SGA. How we've left this player's name out of the MVP conversation so far is beyond me. His name, Jalen Brown, Boston Celtics. He is clearly a 30-point per game scorer in the NBA. He has the second most 30-point games in the NBA, second to, yes, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is leading a roster that we thought coming into this season was in a bridge season, not a rebuilding season, but a bridge season because of the injury to Jason Tatum and then the departures of Drew Holiday, Al Horford, and Kristaps Porzingis. But if I know Jalen Brown and if I know his crew, they probably think that he is the better player to Jason Tatum, and he gladly embraced this opportunity to show the NBA world, the basketball world overall, that I could lead this roster to not only a playoff run, but a deep playoff run in the Eastern Conference. They currently sit third in the Eastern Conference. I know they lost last night to the Milwaukee Bucks. That's unfortunate for them. I get it. But at the same time, we cannot discredit what Jalen Brown has done this season. I think it's the best year of his career. Yes, he's already won an Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He's won an NBA Finals MVP. But in terms of regular season statistics, he is currently having the best season of his NBA career. So I have him third on the MVP list. Fourth, I've got Cade Cunningham. It's enough to be said. He is leading this roster. Yes, Jalen Duren may have the better efficiency numbers across the floor, across the board offensively, but I think those numbers are in part to the MVP dominance that he has for the Eastern leading Detroit Pistons. Cade is turning into that player to where he's that big 6'6", 6'7" point guard. He plays at his own pace. The game has definitely slowed down for him. I love the way he controls the Pistons on both ends of the floor. He is the identity for JB Bickerstaff and that Pistons team. They are tough. They play hard. They are brash. They are in your face. And that embodies, in my opinion, JB Bickerstaff and Cade Cunningham, the two leaders of that franchise. They're going to be a scary proposition for whomever they play in the Eastern Conference playoffs. They are that good as far as I'm concerned, and they are well deserving right now of being number one in the Eastern Conference. And at 5, I have to have Luka Doncic in there. Luka's the leading scorer in the NBA. Whatever he lacks defensively, he makes up because he's a stat stuffer across the board. And he has the Lakers, surprisingly, with a 17-7 record. The record may be flawed a little bit because of the defensive deficiencies that the team has overall. I look for the Lakers to make a deal at some point this season if they truly want to compete in the Western Conference, because it's pretty clear that when they play against teams that are younger, more athletic, more motivated, and more inspired, that they have a pretty tough time, especially when they get out and run in the open floors. I think the Lakers will make a move at some point this season, but Luka, we cannot discredit what he has done. He has led the Lakers to an early 17-7 record, so I have him at number 5 on the MVP list. So to go through my list again, at 1 it's SGA, at 2 it's Nikola Jokic, at 3 it's the Celtics' Jalen Brown, at 4 it's Cade Cunningham, and at 5 it's Luka Doncic.
Dr. X, we have 2 SGAs, we have 1 Jokic, and if you want to do a top 5, the question is SGA the NBA MVP right now? Dr. X, what says you?
100% agree with Dwight's take. I like the Jalen Brown edition. I like Jokic being at number 2. But, it really comes down to when you're looking at Jamal Murray and Jokic. Jamal Murray's having one of his best years. And I think that's a fact. And even with all of that, they're not winning as much as OKC is. Secondly, SGA's defensive stats and the fact that he's doing this in limited minutes says it all to me. And so while Jokic is having a career year as well, you can't, as Dwight was saying, you can't penalize him for having like a record or not playing as much minutes, or just the other thing is that he didn't have Jalen Williams the whole time. So who was SGA's number 2? You know what I mean? So with all of that said, it's always someone different every night with OKC, and he's still the consistent undercurrent of dominance that the OKC Thunder need to have this record they're having. And personally, as a team, if you look at the word most valuable player, it's the person that's elevating his team to the highest extent, which is why I wouldn't put Maxey there, because they're just not winning enough games for me. And I know that has something to do with Joel Embiid, but if you look at what happened with SGA, it was a setup for them to have a collapse because Jalen Williams wasn't there. They're coming fresh off a championship. They may not be as engaged. They may have had too much fun during the summer, and they still come out with that same dominance. So ultimately, I'm just saying that SGA has to be number 1, and I don't think Jokic is going to win it. He'll be considered and should be talked about and should be noted for all the wonderful things he's doing. but SGA for me, with that record, with that defensive dominance, and the fact that you don't know who his number two is going to be any given night.
Dr. X, AM, and Dwight, I absolutely love it. All right, so we got 3 SGAs, we got 1 Jokic. And so, Dr. X, I want to come to you first on this. Last sort of OKC topic we got here. And then we're going to downshift into the NBA Cup and talk about the semifinal games coming up on Saturday, right around the corner. And at some point here, we're going to have Lionel Hollins join the broadcast, former NBA coach, former NBA player. Will SGA and OKC beat the Lakers streak? Okay. There's so much history going on with this team. SGA going for back-to-back MVPs, going for back-to-back titles. We all think that they're going to set the record for the best regular season record. Well, guess what? They also may have the longest winning streak in NBA history. Okay. Will SGA and OKC beat the Lakers streak? The Lakers streak is 33 wins in a row back in the 1971-72 season. That was a championship year for the Lakers. West finally got his ring that year. OKC is nearly halfway there with 16 wins, okay? I have no reason to bet against or doubt Oklahoma City. So, yes, I think they're going to beat the Lakers streak. I mean, ultimately, I don't know, right? They're halfway there. But I don't see losses coming up here, guys. I don't. Through December 31st, and we don't know if they're in the championship game for the NBA Cup yet, but they will play a cup game on Saturday in Vegas. Wembey is supposed to be back for that game. I still look at that as a win. They've got a home game against the Clippers. Then they go to Minnesota. Could be dicey, but you guys think the Wolves are beating OKC right now? Home against Memphis. Then they go to San Antonio. Okay, this is all leading up to New Year's Eve. Could lose at San Antonio with Wembey. But again, it's very, very hard to see. Then they have a home game against San Antonio, home game against Philly, home game against Atlanta, home game against Portland, the only team that's beaten them this year. So that's 6 home games, 2 road games, and 1 cup game over their last 9 as we approach New Year's Eve here. So I believe their streak will be at least 24, depending on, Doc, like you said, the championship game, do they count it or not? I don't really know. But their streak's going to be at about 24 or 25 heading into the new year. And Doc, to talk about the streak at that point is going to get really, really loud, which is why we're talking about it right now to kind of get out in front. So are you feeling good about them winning 33 or 34 games in a row, Dr. X? Talk to me.
I don't. I actually feel like ultimately it's going to be, I think the Spurs are up and coming. Kind of like what I was saying before, I felt that the Spurs ultimately were going to have Wembey being out was a blessing in disguise because you had De'Aaron Fox get more acclimated to the crew and become more of a leader, and people depend on him and seeing how clutch he is. I think Wembey being back is perfect timing. I think they are going to beat OKC in this game coming up on Saturday night. And if they don't, I got my Knicks beating them. Even though the game doesn't count, it'll be that little asterisk that says pretty much that they didn't get, whatever the row amount they needed in a row. So I had the Knicks winning the NBA Cup. And I believe that Wembey, if he doesn't beat them in the cup matchups, I think that you said they have him on the schedule. I think the Spurs will take one of those games.
Okay, I like it. So Doc is not really plugging into the 33-win party here. We got a long, long way to go. And Doc, what you said is extremely reasonable and makes a bunch of sense. Dwight Walton, how are you feeling about OKC beating the Lakers' famous streak of 33 in a row or not?
I'm with my cousin on this one. Hey, Jason and Kai, do me a favor and show that San Antonio Spur picture again, please. If you don't mind. Look at this team. Look at this team. To me, they're the team that is primed to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder on Saturday night in Las Vegas. And to my cousin's point, if they're on the schedule over the next coming games, coming weeks, I think the Spurs will get the Oklahoma City Thunder. Look at that. The leadership in the locker room from Harrison Barnes. De'Aaron Fox has allowed the Spurs to withstand Wembey not being in the lineup due to injury. They have a 9-3 record in the 12 games that Wembanyama has missed. mostly in part due to the presence of De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, one of the better two-way players that we have in the NBA. Needless to say, Victor Wembanyama in the middle. Stephon Castle. If you know this guy, I see him all the time in Los Angeles at Academy USA, working out with my man Olin, doing his skill development. This guy is a dog. He's a great defensive player, a much improving offensive player. And then you've got Dylan Harper. You would never know he is 19 years old. Definitely grew up in an NBA family. We all know who his father is, five-time NBA champion, Ron Harper, with the Bulls and the LA Lakers. Then you add in Keldon Johnson, you add in Luke Cornett. I think that group is primed and ready to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder on Saturday night in the semifinal. And if they don't do it then, they will do it in the next couple of weeks when they do play again. I just think that they're going to be too motivated not to prove. I think that the San Antonio Spurs are the young and upcoming team, very similar to the OKC Thunder, winning 33 games in a row. That will never happen, I don't think, no matter how good and dominant the Oklahoma City Thunder are. 33 games in a row, fellas. You know how many games that is? And right now, what? What have the Thunder won? 16 in a row? That means they got to win 17 more games in a row. It is tough, man. It's the NBA. It's a marathon. I would love to see it, but I don't think it'll happen. And I think the Spurs are the team primed to stop that streak.
Ooh, AM Pfeffer. All right, I'm looking at OKC, and I think they're going to beat the Spurs here, right? I think they're going to withstand this and have the winning streak going into the new year, and I think they're going to seriously threaten 33 in a row. Dr. X, not feeling that. Dwight Walton, AM, not feeling that. So where are you at with the Thunder maybe beating the Lakers' 33-game winning streak?
Yeah, I'm feeling it. At this point with the Oklahoma City Thunder, everything is on the table. I'm not taking anything away from them. They've reached Tom Brady-esque height and zenith years of the Patriots when it's like, don't bet against Brady. Never bet against Brady. I'm never betting against the Oklahoma City Thunder until they show me that they actually lose a game, until I believe it and see the box score printed in the paper the following day. I'm not going to believe that they actually lost. So it's all in play. I think they're going to win the NBA Cup. I think they're going to beat the 33 streak. I think they're going to be over 73 wins. I think they're going to win the NBA Finals. This team is ridiculous. It's insane where they're sitting with one loss right now. So yes, until they prove otherwise, I'm thinking that they're actually going to beat all of those records. Now, not to be a presidential candidate in a debate, but I'd like to go back, if I may, and just bring up a couple of things, because the NBA debate, I was the guy in the island a little bit alone there in some of the things that I said. I want to say this. I don't feel like I'm penalizing SGA. I mean, SGA is, again, this close to retaking the crown and all of that. It's just so absurd when you look at Jokic's numbers. He has stepped up into a stratosphere, an atmosphere, or whatever sphere you want to call it, that is just never before seen going on in the NBA, and he's doing it night in and night out. It's crazy. As far as Jalen Brown is concerned, we talked about him the other day. He is absolutely in the MVP conversation, but I don't think it's crazy we didn't otherwise mention him, that he joined the conversation in the top 5. And I'm really intrigued, Dwight, that you put him in the top 3 at this point. He's been doing it to a point, really, the last 2.5 weeks. It wasn't that way in the beginning of the season. And I understand what you're talking about with 30-point games. But guess what? Donovan Mitchell is averaging 30.5 a game. And when you look down at the Boston Celtics, there's one thing that jumps out above them more than anything else. Look at their top 4 guys on the roster and what they've done. Guard. And I'm talking about, obviously, in Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and Anthony Simons, who's a 6-man off the bench. They also lead the league in 3-point attempts. That's how they're winning these games. That's how they've escalated themselves. Jalen Brown is phenomenal. He's doing amazing. He's absolutely back in the conversation. But it's just not the same thing when you're looking at Cleveland. You're looking at Donovan Mitchell and what he's doing and dragging it around. And then you're looking at center when you're talking about Allen, DeAndre Hunter, and Evan Mobley before you get down to Darius Garland, which is interesting that his name is even up there for where he is now and how little he's played this year. So Cleveland has a long way to go. It's that Donovan Mitchell is the most valuable player on that team by a long shot. Not to say Jalen Brown isn't doing phenomenal, but the Boston Celtics are playing a different brand of basketball with their guards and the way that they're shooting threes and the amount that they're taking. League leading. That's all I want to say about that. Thanks for bringing it back to me for a few moments.
AM, you the man. AM, you the man. Jalen Brown is probably 6th on my MVP list. Brunson's kind of hanging around my top 5. Anthony Edwards is hanging around my top 5, but I still have that Maxey block in my head, right? And Maxey's been a stud. I think he's 3rd in the league in scoring at like 31 a game. Without Maxey, they'd have 2 wins, by the way. But, he won a game on a chase down block. He won a game on a chase down block, not a buzzer beater, not a layup, not a free throw, a shot block, okay? And he's a guard, and he's a point guard. He's not even a shooting guard. So I just think that's amazing. He's almost at 1 block per game this year, guys, almost at 2 steals per game. I just think Maxey's been incredible. But I do love, Dwight, what Jalen Brown's been doing for sure. All right, so Dr. X and Dwight already said that the Spurs are beating the Oklahoma City Thunder on Saturday night in the NBA Cup semifinal in Las Vegas. They already said that, all right? So, AM, let's you and I play a little bit of tennis here. Will Wemby's return end the Thunder's winning streak, which is currently at 16 games? No. Guys, no. The Spurs exploited the Lakers' heavy legs, slow pace of play, just like the Suns did, right? Remember when the Suns ran the Lakers out of the gym in the Dillon Brooks game? Okay, this, by the way, random thought bubble, this is a huge problem for the Los Angeles Lakers. Dwight, you astutely bring up the defensive deficiencies. They're there, okay? But this team does not have the athletes to compete with young athletic teams. It's just an athletic mismatch. Luka's not an athlete. LeBron kind of flexes at times athleticism, but not like he used to. Austin Reeves is obviously very skilled and very slick. He's not an athlete. Rui's not really an athlete. Ayton's pretty athletic for a big, but, he's not running up and down like a greyhound, right? It's a big problem for the Lakers, and they have no way to fix it. It will ultimately be a fatal flaw for them. All right, back to the NBA Cup game. The Spurs will not have that advantage against OKC. They can't just outrun them and be faster and more athletic and younger and all that. OKC's like, yep, we got all that stuff too. Yeah, and the best defense maybe in the history of basketball, okay? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So Wemby, according to reports, is most likely going to be back. But what if he's rusty? Okay? We do have the Oklahoma City defense on the other side here. This is not the 29th defense in the NBA. This is the number 1 defense in the NBA, all right? Maybe they take a little bite out of Wemby. Does Wemby's return throw off De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, and Stephon Castle and Devin Vassell, who have all gotten really comfy without Wemby, okay? And they're all flourishing without Wemby and winning and all that kind of stuff. Wemby's coming back. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you guys know this. When the star player comes back, you've got to refigure out spacing and shot distribution and usage rate and all that stuff. And sometimes it takes a game or two. This is not the team to figure that stuff out against. So I do not think that Wemby's return will end the Thunder's winning streak. AM Pfeffer, I throw it to you.
Not going to end the winning streak. Nothing's going to end this winning streak until Oklahoma City stops their own winning streak. And by the way, as amazing as we've spoken about and we're focusing in on Wemby, and his return and whatnot, and thinking that's going to bring him over the hump. No, it's not. I mean, pound for pound, you just look at the matchup across position, and Oklahoma City is better than San Antonio in every metric at every position. And that includes giving flowers to Chet Holmgren. He's obviously not better than Wemby, but the man is 19-9, and he's doing everything necessary. His name has not been brought up enough this year. He is incredible. He's anchoring that team, especially as a rim protector in and around the paint. It's just amazing across the board what Oklahoma City does. Until they stop themselves, no one's stopping this team. I'm excited for Wemby to come back, but until he's putting up 50 and 20 in this game, Oklahoma City's winning.
You know what?
Go ahead, Dwight. Yeah, come on in.
If I can step in here, AM, thank you for bringing up Chet Holmgren. I already declared Victor Wembanyama Defensive Player of the Year after the second game of the season when he had that 9-block game. I said, I already had him as the MVP, the MIP, the Defensive Player of the Year. But because Wemby has been out for so many games, Chet Holmgren right now might be the leader in the clubhouse for Defensive Player of the Year. That's how great he has been to start this season. He may not give you the consistent offensive numbers that you would like to see from a third wheel, but that's due in part because of the greatness of SGA and the ascending play of AJ Mitchell. This whole team, this whole Thunder team is just so deep, so inspiring to watch. It is to see them compete on both ends of the floor as if they've got something to prove. They, as a group, and you've heard SGA say this, he was happy they won the championship, but he still felt that there were things that they can improve. He was happy, but he's like, you know what? We still didn't do it the right way. And when you watch the Thunder play to start this season, it's almost as if they're out there, SGA in particular, to prove that last season's championship wasn't enough. We're trying to pitch the perfect game. And if that's what motivates them, if that's what's going to catapult them to breaking this 33-game winning streak in a row from the 71-72 LA Lakers, eventually go on to break the Golden State Warriors 73-win season back in 2015, 2016, and ultimately finish it off with a championship, I am all for it. And Chet Holmgren is definitely going to be a major player in this. And right now, you can argue that he's your defensive player of the year so far this season.
All right, Dr. X, let's get you cranked up on the other NBA Cup semifinal game. I know it's a rhetorical question when posed to you, but who you got, Knicks or Magic?
I got the Knicks. The main reason I have the Knicks is because I feel like, well, number one, Orlando's not full strength. We just came off a win. We kind of know how they play. We adjusted to them just like how they were last year as well. So I'm not worried about the Magic. I do think they play super hard, so we can't sleep on them, and we can't take anything for granted. We got to just make sure we play until the final buzzer. But yeah, I got the Knicks winning easily in this game, maybe by 8 to 12 points.
All right. Dwight Walton, you're next, man. Who you got, Knicks or Magic?
I think the Knicks are playing too well right now. I think they have found their identity, sliding Josh Hart back into the starting lineup, and Josh Hart proving myself and a lot of NBA analysts out there wrong. He has become a 40% three-point shooter all of a sudden. Teams are purposely leaving him open. They're sending a second body at Jalen Brunson, hoping that Josh Hart is hesitant in shooting the ball. But over the last several games, he has been lights out, a knockdown three-point shooter. His energy defensively, his rebounding prowess, second to none from the guard position in the NBA. I just think he's the heart and soul of that lineup. And I think the combination of Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns is a tough one for defenses to decipher. I think they need to improve defensively. I think that will ultimately be their downfall come playoff time, because you could attack both Brunson and Towns defensively, but right now they are clicking on all cylinders on both sides of the floor. I just think they've got too much for Orlando. I think you will see the Magic miss Franz Wagner more than they missed Paolo Banchero. This is Banchero's time to sort of diffuse that opinion on him, that he doesn't make his teammates better the same way Franz Wagner does. Like, to my cousin's point, they'll play hard. I don't think they'll have enough to beat the New York Knicks in Las Vegas on Saturday night.
AM Pfeffer, Magic or Knicks?
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That is where the Knicks are at with the Magic in the last two games. Not happening again, man. They are ready for Wendell Carter Jr. They're ready for Desmond Bane. Franz Wagner is out of this game. Mike Brown is a very good coach. I really think he's always been in his career somebody who just makes great adjustments, and that's why you're seeing the Knicks having a little resurgence in the past couple weeks. I give him a lot of credit, and Jalen Brunson is playing like a man who wants to know what it feels like to go up against OKC in the finals later on this year in June. The Knicks are going to win this game. They are dialed in. They want to be in the NBA Cup Finals and see what they've got and what they're made of when they play OKC. I'm with Doc. 8 to 12. They're running away with this game.
All right, we're 4 for 4. I'm on the New York Knicks as well, and obviously the Franz Wagner injury is huge. If you're the Magic, how do you beat the Knicks without Franz Wagner? It's just a math problem. But also, the Knicks have winning DNA. The Magic are trying to get winning DNA, and this is for the cup. This is a big game. So I think the Knicks are going to prevail here and take care of business. Bridges and OG Anunoby are going to make it very, very tough for Desmond Bane, who's been killing it lately, lots of 30-plus point games. Anthony Black is the one player who could swing this game in Orlando's favor with a big one, and he's had several eruptions this year, but I just don't see that ultimately happening, and I see the Knicks coming away with a victory here. We are efforting the great Lionel Hollins here on the X-Rated Sports Network. Our show is Beyond the Surface. And when we get him all lined up, we will certainly bring him on. Dwight in our group chat put out a really kind of cool idea, cool topic, and I want to bring it to the show here about who is a better fit with Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns or Giannis Antetokounmpo? I think it's a great question. And Dwight, why don't you go first on this one, man? Who's the better fit with Brunson, Cat or Giannis? Obviously, with all of the speculation about Giannis possibly being traded to the Knicks.
This is a very sensitive topic for me because I know my cousin loves the New York Knicks. He bleeds orange and blue, as we all know. And he wants Giannis Antetokounmpo to be in the New York Knicks uniform simply because he understands that although as much as he wants the Knicks to win the Eastern Conference, he knows ultimately they're not going to beat Oklahoma City Thunder. So why go down this road with this roster when we can just go out there right now and make a deal for Giannis Antetokounmpo? But my rebuttal to that, is does he fit with the skill set of Jalen Brunson? And I don't think he does. And as great as Giannis Antetokounmpo is, he is still a flawed superstar. He doesn't shoot the ball well from the perimeter, and he doesn't make his free throws. Those two things, Karl-Anthony Towns does much better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yes, Antetokounmpo may be the better defensive player. Not maybe. He is the better defensive player. He is in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation every season. So I understand that part of it. But Giannis Antetokounmpo is a very difficult player to play with because of the lack of skills that he has that is pertinent in today's NBA. If you're going to be a big, you're going to have to be able to knock down shots from the perimeter, and you got to make your free throws. And Antetokounmpo just doesn't do that. Also, Antetokounmpo is 31 years old now, and he has become an oft-injured player. I'm not sure the Knicks want to go down this road. They have a great team right now. You don't want to have a Carmelo Anthony situation to where you gut your roster just to get a name on the marquee at Madison Square Garden on 7th Avenue. You don't want to do that. The fit, to me, isn't there. I just think Karl-Anthony Towns is the better fit going forward with Jalen Brunson over Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is a tough one for me. I'm sure it's a tough one for Knicks fans, but I'm about fit. I think the NBA, today's NBA is about fit. I just truly believe Karl-Anthony Towns' skill set fits much better than with Jalen Brunson's than Giannis Antetokounmpo right now.
Dr. X, who's the better fit with Jalen Brunson? Cat, currently his teammate, or Giannis, who may eventually be his teammate?
I still believe, number one, it's a moot point because ultimately I don't think that the Bucks want Karl-Anthony Towns. That's one reason. The other reason is I just think that Giannis ultimately plays defense. So with Giannis playing defense, I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns is a great fit because Brunson doesn't play the best defense either. But I would like to see those three on the floor together because I feel like the deficiencies of Karl-Anthony Towns and Giannis both balance out each other. And then to me, I just like the consistency of Giannis. So I'd rather see Giannis out there with OG Anunoby. And one thing I've been annoyed with this week when it comes to like all these trade rumors and how they're trying to make the numbers work, people kind of pick and choose when they want to make the numbers work. As you saw with Detroit, and they're all of a sudden they're saying Tobias Harris for AD. I'm like, okay, the numbers got to work, but also it has to make sense. If you're a Dallas Maverick fan, it's kind of annoying to see that you technically traded Tobias Harris for Luka Doncic. That's technically what happened. You don't have Luka anymore, and now you have Tobias. You don't have AD even. So I'm just like, forget the expiring contract stuff, forget all this. Keep the talent on the roster. The numbers have to make sense, but also the player names and the star power as well as the skill set has to make sense. But ultimately, going back to what we're discussing with the Knicks, I don't think Cat has to go. I think the person that should go, and I wonder if the numbers do make sense, if you guys can speak to that, is I think OG, Mitchell Robinson, McBride, and Kolek should be the players, the four players that go, or some sort of baseline recipe of those four players, mix and match whatever you have to do to make it happen. But I think I think ultimately you need to have Cat, Brunson, Giannis, and Hart, and Mikal Bridges. That's the five that I want. And you know what? I don't think it will happen unless the Bucks want it to happen, because the Knicks are not going to gut their roster, because they would have done that earlier this summer, which is why they waited till the wee hours of the morning to sign Mikal Bridges, which now makes him unavailable until next year. I think either like late January or February possibly. So they had their opportunity to do that trade, but I think the Bucks wanted too much, and I don't think the Knicks are gonna capitulate to that or adjust to that. So it's gonna be up to the Bucks to say they want to honor Giannis, his request, and hopefully they do. But if not, I agree, Dwight. They shouldn't gut the team for that, and we should just wait it out.
Doc, the OG Anunoby thing, and you're right about OG plus the players you mentioned and the contracts, roughly should balance out and should be able to work and be a vetted trade. If I'm, pardon me, if I'm the Bucks, the centerpiece of the Giannis trade is OG Anunoby.
Right.
It's kind of dead on arrival. Right? No,
I
like
agree.
you said about. Tobias Harris is the centerpiece of an Anthony Davis trade. No, he's not. Right? I'm not doing that.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So we can't pick and choose. Be like, oh, the numbers make sense. You just match up the salaries. Like, guys, stop. We're talking about Giannis here. We're talking about AD. We're talking about losing Luka. Let's be consistent across the board if we're going to be using those type of things.
Well, hold on, cuz. Hold on one second here. The business side of this trade has to make sense. This is the climate that the current CBA has put us in, whether it makes sense to us or not. And I'm on another group chat, and we're currently discussing this, to where it's not only about the players. We got to forget about player for player. In the CBA, we have a luxury tax, we have a salary cap, and we have a first and second apron. So a lot of these trades now have to make sense financially. I understand.
I agree with you.
That
both boxes got to be checked, though. That's what I'm saying. Both boxes have to be checked. You can't. Tobias for AD. Tobias to AD is equivalent to OG for Giannis. Sorry. And truth be told, OG is a way better player than Tobias. Tobias is old. Tobias can't guard. And honestly speaking, Rick, to answer your question, if you were talking about fit and to see which team fits, that front court of OG, Mitchell Robinson, and Miles Turner is probably one of the best defensive front courts in the NBA. And you already have a young. They can score. We've seen OG by himself without Jalen Brunson during that time. OG was holding it down. He was averaging like 23 points a game. If he has the opportunity to, he will score in that type of environment. With that front line, you have Miles Turner and Mitchell Robinson. So you have a shooter like Miles Turner who plays defense, unlike Karl-Anthony Towns. So you have two shot blockers, an offensive rebounder, a wing player that can shoot threes and can drive it to the basket. That's one of the best defensive front courts in the NBA right there, better than OKC.
The only reason I will agree with you in terms of Cat possibly staying in New York in an Antetokounmpo trade is because Karl-Anthony Towns, or excuse me, Miles Turner basically does what Karl-Anthony Towns does right now. So it would be redundant at the center position. However, if I'm the Bucks, I'm gonna want Karl-Anthony Towns in return in some form of trade for Giannis
Why?
Antetokounmpo.
Why? Because of
Because
value, or because the numbers make sense. Value
both.
because of the name. Exactly. So say both with everything going forward. Any trade thing you ever use, I want to hear both. It can't just be the numbers. It's got to be
Right.
both every single time.
Fellas, let's table this and bring in the great Hollins right now. Lionel Hollins, my dear friend, coach, welcome to the X-Rated Sports Network. Our show is Beyond the Surface. It's your boy, Rick Kamla. Upper right, we have Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend. Upper left, A.M. Pfeffer. Lower left, we have Dr. Phil McDonald. He's the patriarch here, the founder, creator. He owns a team in the TBT. But Coach Hollins, how are you and the fam, man? You good?
No, everything is good, man. Just staying busy as I can with doing this and that, but it's good to see you and good to hear from you.
Oh, Lionel, it's good to hear your voice. Good to see your face. You look very happy. 10-year NBA career, all-star player. Lionel has a championship ring, actually multiple, but as a player in 1977 with the Blazers, two-time all-defensive player, long-time assistant coach and head coach in the NBA dating back to 1988. Coached the Grizzlies in the grit and grind era with Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol and Tony Allen and all those terrific players. 2012-13, he led the Memphis Grizzlies to their franchise high win total of 56. And so, Coach, I want to ask you about a man near and dear to your heart and a man near and dear to my heart, and we lost him in May of 2024. You won a title with the late, great Bill Walton back in 1977, Blazer Mania. Can you give us a good Bill Walton story to get us kicked off here?
I don't think my Bill Walton stories are G-rated, even R-rated, but you know, I and Bill, we were in Palm Springs hiking down in the canyon. We'd go out after the season, go down there and hang out. And he was with Ramrod, who was the road manager for the Grateful Dead. And we would put the women and children down in the riverbed, and then we'd go hiking up in the hills. And we're going around this mountain, and a fall is going to kill both of us. But we're hanging on, and we get into this cave, and we go to the edge of the cave, and there's nowhere to go. And there's a big hole. And Ramrod and Bill said, we're going to jump in the hole. I said, we don't know what's down there. There's rocks or what have you. And so I said, I'm going back. So I went back, dangerous as it was. I went back around, and those guys jumped, and they wound up hitting water and going down into the river. And then later on, we come to a narrow, and we're having to go from the narrow on one side to the river, as we had to go around because there's a lot of hills and cliffs and what have you. So anyway, short story. Long story short is that Bill gets caught in the narrow with his size 14 shoes, and we can't get him out. I'm in front of Bill, Ramrod's behind him, and we're both reaching down, trying to, and you can't reach because you're flat. So I'm trying to lean to the side and reach down and see if I can pull his shoe loose, and Ramrod's doing the same thing from behind. I look up and I said, I don't even know if a helicopter could get a rope down here to pull him out if we needed to do that. And ultimately, though, he got out of the shoe, got the shoe out, and we got out into the river, and we went on our way. But that's a real Bill Walton story that people don't really know about.
Oh, what a story right there. I mean, Bill's always got you hiking and Ramrod and always hanging out with Grateful Dead people. Oh, man, I love it. What a story, Coach. What a story.
Yeah,
that is fantastic. Dr. X, why don't you come in with a question here for Coach?
Well, Coach, I'm as you know, as Rick said, I'm a physician, so I always wondered about the injury to your hand. Was it in practice coaching the Grizzlies, or was it like playing with the '77 championship team?
Well, it actually happened in Philadelphia. My teammate and roommate and great friend, Mo Cheeks. I'm running up the sideline, and he throws a pass, and he throws it behind me, and I reach behind, and it tears the ligaments in my finger. Well, today, the guy would be out for the rest of the year. I went in the locker room, they tied it with some tape, and I went out and I played, and I never missed a game in the rest of the season, that is. And when they finally decided to go in and do surgery, the ligament had gone back up in the hand, and they couldn't repair it. And so, all I did was just kept taping it, and I had both surgery on both of them. I had a little knot in my hand in the bottom, and they went in and cut and removed that. And it's just been like that for a while. It became a problem because it took away a lot of my quick ball handling ability and my quickness, period, pushing the ball, because I couldn't grip the ball the same way as I had, and you had to keep that hand locked with a splint so that it wouldn't bend, and so it took away a little bit of my effectiveness, but I was able to play for another 5 years that way, and with other injuries that came about during that time, it was time for me to leave in 1985.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that story and showing that players back then played through injuries, played through pain, and played hurt and injured. So thank you, sir.
I would play hurt today. I wouldn't play injured today. Because a lot of those injuries are permanent. I've had multiple knee surgeries. I've had my hip replaced, my knee replaced. I got shoulder, and I try to play golf, and every day something else comes up and says, "Do you remember me?" I don't, but we remember you, right? And all the balls on the floor, and playing under the ice, and it was just different back then, and I wouldn't trade it. It was my time, my life, and we don't know, even with all the medical advancements and the technology and the nutrition and the training that they have now, it still doesn't prevent injuries. And you never know when your season could be, or your career, not just your season, but when your career could be over. So you have to go out and maximize it.
Nice. Thank you.
Dwight Walton, why don't you come in with a question for Coach?
Coach Hollins, thank you very much for joining our program. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here today. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
My question to you, you joined the Lakers staff back in 2019, and you guys had a special group that year. Ultimately went on to win the NBA championship. But due to health reasons, health concerns, you weren't able to join the team in Orlando. So can you please speak to your experience of joining the team via your iPhone? You were on Zoom calls. How did you enjoy that experience of staying connected? You couldn't be with the team, but you were still with the team via technology. How was that difficult? Was it a different experience? Was it a fun experience? Can you speak to that for us today?
Well, as far as being on Zoom, we had the experience because before everything closed down, we went to Zoom calls for all of our meetings. And then when we worked out players, we'd be in person, but then everything else was on Zoom. But then when we went down to Florida, I could have gone, but if something had happened, I would have bucked their recommendation, and then I wouldn't have got paid if something had gone wrong. So I chose to stay home, and the calls were great. Watching practice, the players would come by and knock the camera off this chair that it was sitting on, and get in face to face and make faces and laugh. That part was great, but not being there, the emotional, the physical interaction that you have, I missed that. The games, I just watched the games and took notes, and then I went in the locker room via Zoom to talk to the coaches in the coach's office before they went in with the players, and gave my suggestions of what I saw and all that. So a lot of that was the same, and it just and when we won it, just not being there on the court, not feeling the emotion. I do have pictures of me with my champagne. I bought a bottle of champagne for the last game. I have my own trophy from when we won the championship. I have a replica, and I got that out, and I'm drinking champagne, and rah-rah, and it was fun. It was great. And then with COVID and all, we didn't have a celebration with a
Right.
parade. That probably was the biggest thing that we all missed as players and coaches.
Phenomenal. A.M. Pfeffer, come on in with a question, my friend.
Coach Hollins, great to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. This is incredible. Really appreciate it. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 78, 79, back-to-back seasons, all NBA defensive player, right? You were on both of those teams. And I just wonder if you could talk a little bit to the audience about what it's like to have been a guard back then, because I think that's what's really phenomenal, right? That the position you play, it's so tough to really join those teams as a guard. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that from back in the day, and then how it compares to what you see defensively from the guard position today, in today's NBA here in 2025.
Well, contrary to what everybody says, it was a physical game, but out front they call fouls. You know, I see hand checking, I see stabbing a guy in the chest and the stomach as he makes a move. That didn't happen then without a call. And most teams pressured full court back then. It was difficult because there was a lot of great guards. And even though I was a point guard by name, I played off guard defensively. So I guarded David Thompson and, you know, Paul Westphal and George Gervin. I'm, you know, thinking about some of the names that I went against every night. And it was difficult. And my thing was, like when I played Pete Maravich for the first time, and Pete Maravich just torched us, and I said, you know, he takes all the shots. I said, but if I can get him to take more shots and miss more, say he goes 10 for 35, we're going to win the game because we're going to get every rebound that he misses and we're going to run. And so that became my philosophy on how to guard those guys is deny them the ball, sweat on them, breathe on them, and star players and guys that score do not like you to pay that much attention to them. They like to roam around and get the ball and do what they want. And so that was my philosophy. It was difficult, but you know, I was very athletic and I had long arms. Even though I was only 6'3", I had very long arms, and you know, I could challenge shots well. And the guys that bothered me the most were the little quick guys that were my size, you know, because those guys were like jets. And I used to tease Isaiah Thomas when I played with him in Detroit, because he was teasing me about being old and going by me. I said, you just wait. Your time is coming when all the quick guys that are out there will be going by you just like you're going by me, because there's that phase. You're quicker than everybody, quick as everybody, and then you're not anymore, and they're starting to blow by you. And I think that's the hardest thing, is staying in front of people and making them do what they don't want to do. And I watched film today, and I watched a lot of games, and most guys, once their guy gives the ball up, they don't even know where their guy is half the time. And then they're closing out and trying to take somebody off the three-point line. And my motto was, I'm going to close out real hard, and then I'm going to fake you like I'm going to jump at a shot, and you're going to fake me because you think I'm going to fly by, and then you can get a free reign to the basket. But, you know, the game is different now. There's so much domination by fewer guys. Like when I played, you know, you play a team and you got to guard everybody. And if you played us, you had to guard everybody because Bill was going to throw the ball to the open guy. Everybody else was going to throw the ball to the open guy. We were going to shoot it. If you were hot, you were going to get the ball. Now it's the big guy comes out and sets a pick and roll or transfers the ball to a dribble handoff. And then that guy with the ball makes all the plays for everybody else. And sometimes the slashers get left out, and the guys that attack like Hart in New York, to name one guy, those guys don't get to be as effective as they could be if they didn't have to stand in the corner on the wing and wait for a wide open three.
Coach Lionel Hollins is hanging out with us here on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Coach, I am really excited to have you on and to have this particular conversation right here. A lot of us are huge Allen Iverson fans, right? And this is, I can't wait to get your answer on this. I'd like you to go into the story of Allen Iverson with the Grizzlies in 2009-10. Iverson plays 3 games with the Grizzlies. That's it. Then he leaves the team, mutual agreement, and then eventually signs back with Philadelphia. Short run there, and his NBA season was over at that point. Coach, can you take us into why it was only 3 games, why Allen left, and sort of how that thing kind of unfolded?
Well, I remember we were trying to get Allen early in the summer, and he refused. And eventually, there was nothing out there for him to have. So we circled back, and we actually got him for less money than he could have gotten if he had come when we wanted him in the beginning. We flew to Atlanta, had a big meeting with him. Allen was very good, said the right things, and we decided to sign him, and we did. Training camp, I think the first morning, or maybe it was the second morning, Allen pulls a hamstring on offense. So obviously he wasn't in very good shape. And so we didn't see him anymore until we went to Richmond to play an exhibition game, and he showed up being, his home area. And we talked, and he finally came back to Memphis, and we only had a game, and then we went on the road. I think we played 1 or 2 games at home, and then we went on a 3-game road trip. And he played. He was ready to play. We played in Sacramento. We played at the Warriors, and then we actually played down in LA against the Lakers. And so, Allen was having trouble coming off the bench. He didn't believe that, the guys that were playing in front of him could carry his sneakers, and he was right in his prime. But we actually didn't bring him in to be a star player. Owner said he wanted to bring him in because he could get us 17, 18 points off the bench. But it was hard for him, and I understand, ego, and you've always been a starter, always been a star, and now you're at the end of your career, because he was definitely at the end of his career. And we're having a meeting, and the basketball ops person comes in. He says, Allen's got to go. He said he's got a problem at home back in Atlanta. And so I said, Allen, they say you got to go. And he left the meeting, and I never saw him again as a Grizzly. I've seen him since then, obviously. And I have a lot of respect for Allen. And, I promised him that I would never call him out in the media. I would never say negative things about him in the media. And I took a lot of flack for not saying things that they wanted me to say, but that's okay. And I saw him at the All-Star game in Chicago. He sat next to the bench, and he came on the court after the game was about to start, and he went down and he hugged all the All-Stars as he's going to his seat. And he comes to me, and I stand up, and he hugs me. He said, Coach, I love you, even though you were hard on me when I was in Memphis. And he went and sat down. And, I respect what he's doing now, how his life has grown. He's matured. Because I was one of those guys that said, if you play in the league 14, 15 years, and you come in at 19, 20 years old, and you leave at 36, and you're the same person, then the league has done a poor job. And all those around you have done a poor job. And I felt like that was one of Allen's problems, was that everybody treated him how he wanted to be treated, and nobody checked him, and nobody said, Allen, that's not right. And I think that one of the greatest compliments that I had was from John Thompson. He says at USA Basketball in Vegas, he called me up. He said, I don't know you from Adam. He said, but you need a hug. And this is when the Grizzlies didn't bring me back. But he says, first of all, I want to thank you for what you did with Allen. He says the reason Allen didn't achieve all that he could have achieved is everybody kissed his butt. He said, but you didn't kiss his butt. You told him what was right. And he said, I respect that. And that was a great compliment for me, coming from a great coach like John Thompson, who I respected. And so, that's basically the story. You can go into all the details and they get murky and what have you, but that's not even important. It's just that he was moving toward the end of his career, and things weren't working the way he planned them. And I've been on other teams as assistant coaches where we brought in young, older players, and they expect to come in and be forefront. And you say, we didn't bring you in to be in the forefront. I did that when I was in Vancouver. We had Mike Bibby, we had Sharif, we had Big Country. And some of the older guys thought that they should be playing. And they were good players when they were younger, but they were at the end, and we needed support. We needed leadership. And if you embrace it, you could be like Vince Carter, play 20-something years, right? Some other guys, Haslam. I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have played long after their careers had diminished, their talents had diminished, but they're needed in the locker room. They're needed around the guys to call people out when they need to be called out, where they'll listen to one of those guys versus kicking back at the coach when he says stuff. So that's just life.
It most definitely is. Coach, I have one more for you here. I want to go back to Dwight's great question about the Lakers championship in 2020. You were on Frank Vogel's staff. Although you weren't in the bubble, you were a part of that process. You won that ring, okay? Coach, I can't tell you how many times I see on social media people killing the Lakers bubble ring, and it's a toy ring, and they devalue and diminish and just hate on the Lakers 2020 championship, right? What goes through your mind when you hear people devalue that ring?
Well, do they devalue when we had strike-shortened seasons and they still had a championship? No. When players get hurt, do they devalue those championships? No. There's been a lot of championships that one team has lost a key player, and that's kept him from, in their mind, from winning a championship. We played the Lakers in '77, and Lucius Allen had broken a toe, and Kermit Washington had an ACL. And they had beaten us 4 out of 5 times during the season. But when we came to the playoffs after playing the Bulls, after playing Denver, and we played them in the Western Conference Finals, we were a different team. So it didn't matter if Kermit was going to be there or not. We were confident that we could go out there and win, and we swept them, beat them the first 2 games in LA. And there's some people that wanted to say, well, they wouldn't have won if Kermit doesn't get hurt. But, we'll never know. And it doesn't matter, because when you go back and look at the records, 2020 is going to say Los Angeles Lakers were the world champions. It's not going to say it was in the bubble. It's not going to be an asterisk by it, because they don't put asterisks by anything else. It's just what is. I mean, you deal with what's in front of you. And what was in front of us was we were in the bubble. Everybody had the same advantage. They stayed in a hotel. It was about a 10-minute drive to the arena. You ate food. You got back after the game. You didn't get on a plane. You didn't get in at 2 o'clock in the morning. You didn't travel cross country to go play in a playoff series against somebody. Like if we had done it, Denver, we would have had to fly to Miami, and Miami would have had to fly to LA. So every game there would have been an advantage. And as everybody likes to say, and I agree somewhat, the role players play better in front of their own crowds. And there was no crowd for you to be intimidated by in the bubble, so everybody had equal access.
Hold on, Coach. We know why the people want to put an asterisk by that. It's because LeBron was playing. That's why. We don't.
I agree, and their team didn't win. That was the second
Correct.
part of it. But I don't understand all the hate for LeBron. LeBron is a great player. And when people ask me who the GOAT is, I don't know, because I can go back to each era that I remember watching, and I started watching in the 60s. And Oscar and Jerry West and Sam Jones and Bill Russell, all those guys. That era had a plethora of great players. You move to the 70s, a plethora of great players. You move to the 80s, a plethora of great players. Then every era has great players. Who's the greatest of them all? We should just take a step back and be grateful we've had the opportunity to witness them for the period of time that they're played. And obviously, LeBron playing in his 23rd season is probably the longest, but Kareem played 20 years. Robert Parrish played 20 years. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have played a lot of years, but the whole core of guys that came along in their era, they're all good. And they make up that era. It's not the greatest, but it's all of them. If you go back to Michael, you had Barkley, you had Isaiah Thomas. I mean, and I'm just naming a few because, when I moved from those eras, I don't remember the names. I'm like the players in the media today. I don't remember the players that are playing now. So, but what I'm saying is that there's a lot of great players in those eras, and they entertain you, and it's beautiful to watch, and they take it a step. I go on YouTube and I watch videos of Michael. I watch videos of Kareem. I watch videos of Wilt Chamberlain, and people can't fathom how great they were And, you have somebody like J.J. Redick who says everybody was just playing against plumbers. Well, there was a lot of really good plumbers that are in the Hall of Fame, and there's a lot of really good non-plumbers that are not in the Hall of Fame today. So, we can call it what we want, but it's fun to have these debates. It's like it's fun to say who's going to win and who's not going to win. It's like trades. Everybody wants you to trade your best player for the other team's three worst players. That doesn't happen that way, right? And they're just fans, and it's what fans do, and it's what keeps fans interested and excited. So I have no problem with the debate.
Anybody else have a final question for Coach before we let him go? Go ahead, Dwight.
Coach, up until last season, your team in '77 was the youngest team to win an NBA championship. Fast forward to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Can you talk to how great, how dominant, what you like about this team, the culture that this team has brought forth? Sam Presti, Mark Daigneault, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander being the MVP. I don't want you to compare your teams, but up until last season, your team was the youngest team to win a championship. Can you speak to that experience? And what do you see with this current Oklahoma City Thunder team? What makes them so successful at such a young age?
Well, the first thing is maturity and unselfishness. A lot of young guys that are in the league are so immature. They have to be 28, 29 years old before they finally figure out what the game is about. It's not about them, it's about the group. And you need everybody in order to win. They have great toughness. They have a go-to player in Shea, but they also have a second go-to player that's very valuable in Jay Williams. They have great defense. They have great chemistry. They play hard. They play well together. Everybody embraces their roles. This is the number one thing why you cannot create culture in most situations. Young players are coming in not really prepared skill-wise or maturity-wise to win. And everybody's putting it on the coaches. Well, the coaches didn't do this and the coach didn't play this. And then there's people that want you to play these young guys when they're not ready to play. And, I hear Charles Barkley talk about, well, you don't learn anything on the bench. Well, he never learned anything on the bench because he came in from day one being a great player on the court. But every great player doesn't come in that way. They come in learning and growing, and then they step out there and they're given the spotlight. But that's the thing I also think that happens in today's game is the guys are anointed and given the team, and they're not capable of being those guys. I look at Andrew Wiggins when he was in Minnesota. They were crucifying, but Andrew Wiggins has had a nice career as a complimentary player, but he wasn't the franchise guy. I don't think that the guy in New York that you guys were talking about earlier, I can't even think of his name, that shoots threes, the big guy. Somebody yell at me for it?
Karl-Anthony Towns.
Karl-Anthony Towns is not a franchise guy. Mm-hmm. He's just not. It's okay. He's a good player. He's actually a very good player. But when you look at a franchise player, that guy gets it done in every setting. He gets it done in the preseason, the regular season, blowout games, exhibition games, or close games in the playoffs. There's a lot of players that have been put on that podium and anointed, but they were anointed when they first came in the league, and it hurts the development of the rest of the team. And they never can get over the hump because a big game comes. I'll go back to the playoffs in the bubble. We took away Damian Lillard. We took away James Harden. They couldn't do what they did all year long because we took them away. And they didn't have enough either around them or enough confidence and experience of getting it done to overcome what we were doing to the ultimate star player. I just like guys to come in, earn your way. Show me that you were what we thought you were going to be when we drafted you. I'm not going to anoint you. I'm not going to give it to you. You have to earn it. And when you do those things, you get an OKC. All those guys have come up through the ranks. They've suffered losing, but they fought. And I love what Coach Daigle's done. I love Sam Presti. I've had many interactions with Sam Presti, and he's done a great job. And he keeps looking at how can we improve our team. Jerry West, to me, was, along with Red Auerbach, were the two greatest executives that knew how to fit the pieces. Everybody can go out and just keep drafting the best player. And you got 4 or 5 guys are fighting each other every day on who should be the man and whose team it is. But you got to find pieces that fit, pieces that do what you need in a tough situation. You got to have somebody that's going to guard guys. You got to have somebody that's going to rebound, but can do other things, not going and specializing, but find guys that fit your group. And when that group comes together, the coach can bond them and create a standard and create culture, and they go on and they do great things. It's not age. There's a lot of teams that have been younger and really good and never won anything ever, even when they got older. So it's not the age, it's the maturity, it's the togetherness, it's the toughness. To win a championship, it takes mental and physical toughness. You're going through different opponents who have so much going for them in their realm, and you're not used to playing in that realm, and you got to go in and you got to compete, whether you can stop their way of playing or slow it down, or you got to join them and beat them at their own game. It's quite the thing. It's the sports are a lot like basketball. I say is a lot like boxing. You know, you got to go out and take the man's soul and his heart, and you got to do it with toughness, because that guy's trying to take the heart and soul of yourself.
Ooh, I love it. I'm ready to run through a wall for Coach Lionel Hollins right now, man. Coach, we're going to let you go here. There was one thing missing from your Bill Walton story. The word peyote. I thought somewhere in there, you know, you're in a cave in Palm Springs. You got Ramrod and Bill Walton. I thought peyote was going to come up at some point in that.
Well, I'm a firm believer that after a person is gone, it's no use jumping and kicking more dirt on his grave. Bill was a great person, and we all know Bill's lifestyle. That's cool. But I know him as a great friend, and I know him as somebody that would do anything for you, and I know him as a great player who enhanced my career. And what he did off the court and with his friends and with the Grateful Dead is privy to him and those that are close around to know it. I don't need to go out and broadcast it.
Totally understood,
and that
Coach.
That doesn't just go with Bill Walton. There's a lot of guys I play with that I would not broadcast their personal lives.
Of course. Bill, one of my absolute faves, dear friend of mine, Coach, over the years, and still can't believe he's gone, still miss him. Still have, the Bill Walton poster right above here with his autograph. It means a lot to me, man. And Coach, you mean a lot to me. All the time we spent on NBA TV, doing all the broadcasts, and obviously staying in touch. And we got, there's my guy, Grateful Red. There's my guy.
Yeah. And then it's Tequila. I got all this stuff, man. His wife sent me a bunch of stuff after he passed away, and I appreciate her doing that because she didn't have to. And she shared some of the stuff that he had saved over the years. And I've had the good fortune to be his teammate in Portland and again with the San Diego Clippers, and almost a chance to be in Boston when he was there as well. But Bill Fitch tricked me.
A story for another time.
No, I'll give a real quick one. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Bill Fitch calls me in his office. I'm playing for the Rockets. It's my last year in the league. And he says, who would you rather play with, the Boston Celtics or the Houston Rockets? And, I'm on a spot here, right? I'm playing, and I'm getting playing time in my last year, and I'm going to say I want to be with another team, right? But I would have loved, because Boston and LA were the two franchises that I would have loved to have played for, but I didn't play. I worked with the Lakers. So I told him I'd rather be, and then I found out that I'd rather be in Houston. Then I found out that the Celtics were trying to trade for me. And but he put it on me, so that if I got traded, he wanted to go, so I live with that. But I would have been a part of those teams in Boston when Bill was there, and I would have loved playing on the second unit with him again. It was fun.
Ah, the old trick question from Bill Fitch. Yeah, gets you every time. Gets you every time. Coach, can't thank you enough for the time. Seriously, can't thank you enough for the time. God bless you and your family. Happy holidays, Coach. We'll be in touch. We'd love to have you back on later in the year, but this means a lot to all of us. I know that.
Well, you guys enjoy,
Thank you,
and are you
Coach.
going out to Vegas for the semifinals and finals? Guys, it's nice meeting you, and thanks for the questions. I thought you were going to ask me a Bill Walton question, but you didn't. But that's okay.
Who, Dwight?
You know,
Next time.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know
Dwight.
what?
Dwight wanted to. He wanted
You know
to.
what? It's funny you say that because I wanted to. I said because I have the last name, I wanted to do the Bill Walton question. But you know what? That's okay too. You definitely gave the responses that we wanted to hear. And again, Coach, you know, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on this show. It really is. Thank you for blessing us with your stories. And one thing I wanted to say was that I'm a historian of the game as well, and major Bill Walton fan. It's unfortunate that injuries derailed his great Hall of Fame career, but I think a lot of the younger people will know Bill as a great broadcaster. And I will always
Yes.
say this: the greatest broadcast team in my lifetime was Marv Albert, Steve Snapper Jones, and Bill Walton.
Yes.
Hearing those three on the NBC broadcasts, the way they fed off of each other, the chemistry that they had, particularly between Snapper and Bill, was second to none. I know that Mike Breen, Mark Jackson, and Jeff Van Gundy, they were a great trio as well. But to me, there will never be a trio like Marv Albert, Steve Snapper Jones, and Bill Walton. Those three, that's who I remember, especially back in the day when the NBA was originally on NBC. Bill Walton's insight, his stories, and his authentic love for the game came through those broadcasts. And that's why I
Yes.
think those three are the best broadcast trio in NBA history.
Yes, and I was teammates with Bill and Snapper, and I think Snapper's the one who gave Bill the nickname Dollar Bill, you know, because he made so much more money than everybody. But Snapper was my mentor. He was my roommate. He bought me my first suit. He told me where to go eat. He told me to quit stealing toilet paper out of the hotel room and taking it back to my apartment in Florida. Right? I mean, the guy helped me grow up and become a mature professional and how to get it done. And he was in my ear until a couple of days before he passed away. And I love the guy, and I love the other guy, Bill, as well. Thank you guys for the privilege to talk about them.
Indeed,
Amazing.
indeed. I mean, I completely agree. Marv, Walton, Snapper, best basketball crew of all time. And it was skits and bits. It was all kinds of ball busting between Walton and Snapper, like the whole game. You remember how it would be. There'd be a hard foul, and Snapper Jones would be like, that's a foul. And Walton would be like, you're crazy. No blood, no foul. You know what I mean? And they'd be going back and forth on that whole thing. The good old days, man. Coach, thank you so much. We will talk very, very soon. And again, happy holidays to you and yours.
Happy holidays to you guys, and thanks for having me. I feel privileged and blessed. You guys have a good one.
Indeed,
Thanks, Coach.
indeed. What an outstanding human being Lionel Hollins is. Doc, your question hit me upside the head, man. I love that question because we'd be on the set of NBA TV and you see Lionel writing notes on the box score, before we're going into a segment or whatever, and you're looking at his fingers and you're like,
Ouch.
how? Empathy and sympathy, right? Not hit like, dang, dude. But that was an awesome question, and he talked about the ligaments and stuff like that. Were you cringing a little bit when he gave you the answer to that?
I was, but I just felt like, it sucks that the technology and just the knowledge of, the importance of operating right away.
Right.
And also just tipping my hat to players that play with those injuries. And obviously they, like Josh Hart is waiting the whole year to make sure that he can play the whole year without missing time, and they're wrapping it. So hopefully his doesn't atrophy and make it harder. But I don't think they would have allowed him to play if that was the case. But you never know. Every case is different.
Larry Bird's got some jacked up hands. I think a lot of us know that. Larry's got some really, really jacked up hands. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm the farthest thing from a pro baller there is, but I played a bunch of pickup hoops, right? And my thumbs and pinkies, I mean, they just get beat up every single time you play. All right, enough about me and the old pickup days in the mean streets of Minneapolis. Okay, all right, let's get back to what we were talking about here. And again, huge thanks to Coach Lionel Hollins for joining us. Doc, I want to go to you here on a. We were talking about who fits better with Brunson, Cat, or Giannis. I believe all of us weighed in on that. I did not. I'll just say I believe Cat is a better fit with Brunson because Brunson lives in the mid-range. Giannis works in the mid-range as well, coming downhill, Hulk smash that whole thing. Cat's more of a perimeter big. There's better spacing with Brunson and Cat than I think there would be with Brunson and Giannis. I also like the fact that Cat is the opposite of a point guard. He's a 20-10 big. He's not a 20-10-5 big, okay? Giannis is a 30-12-6 big, but he's a point guard in the center's body. And you got a point guard in Jalen Brunson. And, the fit of Damian Lillard and Giannis did not work in Milwaukee, okay? So, and I know Lillard and Brunson aren't carbon copies of one another, but they're similar, right? Big-time scorers, about 7 dimes a game, ball in their hands a ton. And I just think Cat's a better fit. So, Doc, I come to you with this as we kind of go beyond the surface, dig a little deeper here. Would Giannis Antetokounmpo help or hurt your New York Knicks?
Well, I think number one, it's always about culture. With these teams, it's about the culture you're building. I like Giannis for the culture. I like him for being a wing player that could score in the post because, a lot of people saying, oh, we bought Cat and he can score in the post. Cat sometimes doesn't even shoot more than 3 threes in a game. And so what is he doing most of the time? He's kind of just driving down the lane in reckless abandonment, causing offensive fouls, crying that he didn't get a foul called. And to me, Giannis could do the same exact thing, but more efficient when running to the rim from the 3-point line. So I think, yes, he's one of the best shooting bigs of all time, but I think you got to give Mike Brown some credit that he would be able to run offensive schemes that would fit them and would stagger the lineup in a way that would fit them. That's why I really want to keep Cat because I think Cat becomes even more dangerous if we're somehow able to keep Cat and have Giannis on the floor. So I mean, I'll always push back on that because number one, the Bucks on the record saying they don't want Cat, as you stated, Rick, and I just feel like we need to start discussing having all 3 of them on the floor at the same time. I think if Mitchell Robinson can exist in a starting lineup with Cat and Brunson and OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, I believe Giannis. If you told me I can have Giannis instead of Mitchell Robinson and OG, and we got to figure the rest out, I'll take that any day. Any day.
All right, Dwight Walton, you next on this. Would Giannis help or hurt the New York Knicks?
He's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Of course he's going to help. But the question is, who's going to be on the roster? That will always be my question. Giannis is a great player. Will go down as one of the greatest players in basketball history. The only issue, again, is for the current NBA, does his skill set keep him as dominant as he is? He will always be efficient around the rim. I think he's shooting anywhere from 75 to 80% in the lane. But I think come playoff time, although he's been great and he's won a championship, I think he's easy to game plan for, especially if you don't have the requisite pieces around Giannis in terms of shooting. But the easy answer to your question, Rick, is that Giannis will make any team great, including the Knicks. I just want to know who the Knicks will have on that roster so they can get the full max potential of the Giannis Antetokounmpo experience.
You're mute.
You're on mute, Rick.
I was pitching a perfect game too. I mean, come on, man. This was going to be that show. Next show will be that show. So you were making a great point there, Dwight, about what's left, and my answer here is conditional. I do think Cat's a better fit with Brunson than Giannis, but if you could somehow bring these three together with the trade pieces that Doc is talking about, my thing is the Knicks right now have a championship roster assembled. Can they beat Oklahoma City? I don't think so, but I think they're going to win the East and go to the finals, and ultimately you just want that at bat. You want that opportunity. If you trade Bridges and OG for Giannis, bad trade, don't like it, that'll hurt the Knicks.
Yep.
Every team in the league wants a Bridges and OG on their wing. Every team, okay? Those are the guys you win championships with. Think about OKC. You're hitting J-Dub and SGA and Caruso and AJ Mitchell and Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins and wing, and they're all studs, okay? But more specifically, to be able to take the opposition out of what they want to do. Bridges and OG are elite at doing that, okay? I'm not trading both of them. If I could trade one of them, keep Cat, have Giannis, have a big three of Cat, Giannis, and Brunson, then I think Giannis helps the Knicks. But if you have to give up Cat and stuff, it hurts the Knicks. If you have to give up Bridges and OG for Giannis, it hurts the Knicks. So AM Pfeffer, would Giannis help or hurt your Knicks?
Yeah, just to, if I may, there's a lot of perspective to put on this, and I actually didn't get a chance to weigh in on the previous conversation before Coach Hollins came in, so I want to put a lot of color on this if I can. First and foremost, just to answer the question, simply put, Dwight's right. I mean, he's going to help the Knicks. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's going to help anybody. and Mike Brown, who I mentioned earlier, is a guy who really is good at kind of reacting and ultimately figuring things out. He's done a very nice job of that in his career. He's going to make Giannis fit in, again, no matter who you ultimately trade for him. But having said that, and we're talking about all these trades, we're bringing Giannis back into the forefront and all of that. I want to put perspective on this, right? Like, yes, you traded Karl-Anthony Towns for Giannis Antetokounmpo. To me, it's not a question. Again, you're the Knicks. You don't do that if you're the Bucks. Şengün, who we were talking about earlier, who's having a tremendous year. Again, you trade him and you don't lose a minute of sleep over it at night. And I know earlier you said, we talked about it in other shows that you wouldn't otherwise trade Şengün for Giannis. But again, it's like, of course, no matter where he goes, he's going to help. He is Giannis Antetokounmpo. The defensive efficiency is off the charts. 7 straight first team NBA, first team NBA. It's like guys go their entire careers trying to make 1 out of the 3, and he's 7 in a row on the first team. It's like, it's like we can't. It's so hard to talk about these things when he is so far and away above everybody else. But I want to put a couple things in perspective, especially this idea of the Knicks trade, right? And we're saying, should Cat stay? Should Cat go? Here's interesting. I talked about it earlier in the show. Value over replacement player. I'm a big proponent of this metric. You know who the top 7 guys are in the league this year? Let me read you the list. Jokic, SGA, Tyrese Maxey, Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell, Mikal Bridges at number 6, and then Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 7. So yeah, you've really got to think about whether you want to be moving Bridges in a trade if you're ultimately doing this. And then, of course, you've got to match up the salaries. But back to where this has all come from, I don't think we're diving deep enough on what's going on with Milwaukee or what Milwaukee needs. This is where you have to talk about this, because everybody in the league is talking about who needs Giannis, how does he fit in, how do we make this trade happen? What does Milwaukee need? Well, let's start from understanding how like low on the totem pole they are, and I don't think we put enough perspective on this. First of all, they've got to pay $22.5 million every single year in dead cap money for 5 years for stretching out Dame Lillard. That's a big hit to your cap. The Miles Turner trade, or the Miles Turner signing at this point, is obviously not yielded great results. His numbers across the board in points and free throw percentage and other than assists and rebounds, they're down from what he was in Indiana, okay? Then you have the fact that they are completely bereft of draft picks. So what do they need? They need draft picks and a player to partner with Turner as they start putting that because Miles Turner is not going anywhere, right? You want to start rebuilding around him. They need draft picks. Who's ultimately going to give that? I kind of like the Golden State idea in that respect because it's like, well, if you give Giannis to them, they're going to be great for 2 or 3 more years. But if you're stretching out 5 first-round picks in the later years, maybe that means something coming back to you as this goes on. Does Kuminga mean anything as a small forward, power forward next to Miles Turner? Obviously, he's not going to be what Giannis is, not even close. And you're missing backcourt pieces. Is it better to bring somebody, in a guard position, obviously, that's going to do something for you? Because, again, you're not looking to compete right now. You should probably be looking, if you're Milwaukee, to completely bottom out and get picks that are going to help you from teams that are going to help you in the next 1 to 4 years, especially with what you got going on with Dame, especially with the idea that you have Miles Turner and he's not going anywhere. So there's so much to think about. There's so much to unpack with what's going on. But bringing this back to an earlier question, like, does Giannis help or hurt the Knicks? I mean, again, I want to be very clear about this because we've mentioned it on the text chain. If you're the Knicks, don't do anything right now. You are in a great position. You're a winning basketball team. You're going to the semifinals in the NBA Cup. You're suddenly the clear favorite, or at least the top 2 to come out of the East to go to the NBA Finals right now. You don't need to make a trade. You don't need to do anything. Does Giannis Antetokounmpo help you? You're damn right he does. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Both things can be true.
Awesome answer, man. Awesome answer. So let's play this same game. And Dwight Walton, you first on this one. When we talk about would Giannis Antetokounmpo help or hurt the San Antonio Spurs? And I want to give Dwight a lot of credit. These ideas, these debates come from Dwight in our group chat. And I found them fascinating that, it's Giannis, right? I mean, he's a phenomenal player. He's an all-time great. But, Dwight, you like to talk about fit. I like to talk about fit. So would Giannis help or hurt the San Antonio Spurs, who you think are going to beat the Thunder on Saturday night?
And that's my point. And again, the easy answer is yes. And again, Giannis Antetokounmpo is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He will help and make a team better. Wherever he goes, he will make a team better. Of course, I want to see the roster construction around him, but any team he goes to will be better. And I specified both New York and San Antonio as not buyer beware destinations for Giannis, but don't mess with what's not broken right now. I think the San Antonio Spurs, I hang up the phone immediately if the Bucks are asking for Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper. I say no. And from what I'm hearing, people I know, that's who the Bucks want in return for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And that's not going to happen. Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, these Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, these guys can play. They are young. They are athletic. They are skilled. They compete on both ends of the floor. Yes, they may lack the experience, but this is how a team in today's NBA needs to be built. Much kudos to the San Antonio Spurs front office. And Mitch Johnson, I think, is doing a fantastic job in fulfilling a job which is tough. You are replacing a legend, an icon in NBA circles, specifically in the city of San Antonio, in Greg Popovich. It's not easy, but I think that the timeline worked out perfect for him to where a player, De'Aaron Fox, actually wants to play in San Antonio. For obvious reasons, he's from the Texas area, as is his fiance. Then you've got Dylan Harper in the draft. The year before, you got Rookie of the Year in Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. All of these players can play. And if I'm the Spurs, and if you're looking at the trajectory of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are reigning NBA champions, in all likelihood going to repeat as NBA champions, I think the San Antonio Spurs are right there in terms of how their team has been built, how they're operating, and a culture is being cultivated there in San Antonio. So as great as Giannis Antetokounmpo is, if I'm the San Antonio Spurs, as great as it may sound, a combination of Victor Wembanyama and Giannis Antetokounmpo in the front court, at this time, I would not touch it. I would leave it alone. Let the Spurs grow. Let them experience what it is right now. Again, they're going to get a good look at their team. They're playing in a competitive semifinal game, in a regular season game that means something. And you can't tell me that they're looking at the Thunder as, you know what? We have a chance to prove something here. Everybody's going to be watching. It's like Monday Night Football. Everyone that's interested in basketball is going to be watching the Spurs and the Thunder on Saturday night in prime time. This is a chance for them to make a statement. I think they will. I think they will end the Thunder's winning streak. It's going to be, at the very least, a competitive game for sure, especially with the news just coming across the wire right now that Victor Wembanyama will be playing in the game. Rusty or not, his presence will make a difference. I think the Spurs will win on Saturday night, and the Spurs, with all due respect to Giannis Antetokounmpo, don't trade for him. You guys don't need him.
You're on mute.
Uh-oh.
Mute, Rick. Mute.
I'm so sorry. A lot going on here with, and I don't want to make noise and little clicks and all that kind of stuff. So my apology with that. Dr. X, would Giannis help or hurt the Spurs?
I think he helps any team in the NBA. But I agree with Dwight. I wouldn't do that move. On both sides, I wouldn't do that move. I don't think the players you're going to get back in return from the Spurs make sense. I love Castle, but it's all about fit. Castle is I think he's a great depth player. He's a great defender, but I don't think he's like a superstar. I think he's like a two-way player.
Whoa.
He's more like a wing. I think he's more like a wing, like a Mikal Bridges. I think he's more like an OG Anunoby. I don't think he's like a superstar waiting to happen. I think he's just going to be a big guard that can really defend and can do a whole lot of other things. So I don't like him being the face or I don't think the Bucks are going to level up with that. He might be a great piece for some time later, but I think if the Bucks are going to the Bucks are in they already got the championship. They got to be thankful for that and try to get the best deal they can. So I think it's really about the draft picks at this point for the Bucks. Whatever they can do with whoever, it might be 3 or 4 teams involved, and I think it all comes down to the draft picks. But ultimately speaking, yeah, I think Giannis would be amazing next to Victor Wembanyama. It would almost be unfair as long as you keep De'Aaron Fox and you have Victor and Giannis together. I think that fits because Victor can stretch the floor, and then defensively, it would just be crazy. Rebounding wise, shot blocking wise, it'd actually be amazing to see. I wouldn't be mad if it happened, but I just don't think the Bucks would be better for doing it.
Yo, Phil, before anybody else answers, talk to me in 2 or 3 years in regard to Stephon Castle. I think you got that one wrong. This dude can go. He's a dog. He's in the gym all the time. As you've seen in LA, he works hard. He's going to get better. And he's strong, low center of gravity. He's 6'6", but has a soccer build. He is strong, and he loves to compete. Get back to
You
me in
weren't
2 to
saying
3
that.
years.
You weren't saying that though before he got drafted versus
You're
Keyshawn.
right.
You were saying
You're right.
Keyshawn George was better.
I was wrong.
I don't see
I was
anything
wrong.
different. Yeah, but I don't see
wrong.
anything different. Nothing has changed with his game. He's not a better shooter. He's been what he's been from day one, which is why he went so high. He's a good defender, but he's not going to be Stephon Curry. He's not going to be who's another guard that he's not going to be
That's all I
James
said.
Harden. He's not going to be Luka. Well, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to be one of those guys. He's not going to be an MVP candidate. Sorry, not happening.
Talk to me in 2 to 3 years.
He's going to be an MVP candidate in 2 to 3 years.
That's not what I said.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I just don't see him as a Giannis substitution. Like I don't see that in his future. I think at his best, he will never be in the MVP conversation. I don't.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
don't.
He's a major championship piece. I can tell you that.
That's what I said. I said he'd be like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, which is what Rick said. He was like, which team wouldn't want Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby on their team? Like that's a necessary ingredient. I think he's a necessary ingredient, but he's not the headliner for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
All right.
Very interesting. Let me weigh in on this real quick. I'm somewhere in between. I'm closer to Dwight than I am Dr. X on Stephon Castle. I agree with Doc that Stephon Castle's not going to be Luka, Harden, SGA. I don't see him getting that high on the totem pole. I could see him, though, making all-star teams as a second or third option, like in San Antonio, right? Like they're winning 62 games. You have 3 all-stars, that kind of thing. You know, you have Wembey, you have Fox, and then you have Castle. I could definitely see that happening. I don't see him as a 5, 6, 7-time all-star. I could see him as a 2, 3, 4-time all-star. I just think he's a terrific player. He's going to have a heck of a career. You know, do I see him as a Hall of Famer? I'm not ready to say that right now, right? And that does, I know it's super early and it's Hall of Fame. It sounds weird, but that does speak, Doc, to your point that you don't see him elevating to an MVP type of level, which is like a Hall of Fame type of level. The MVP thing, I just don't see. Hall of Fame, maybe if he plays, you know, a long time and accumulates numbers, it could be possible for him. But my answer on this, guys, is I'm with Dwight. I'm not trading. I don't think San Antonio needs to do anything. And I understand that here's what I will give you. Here's a compromise I will make. And the Bucks wouldn't do this. If I can get Giannis with Devin Vassell as a centerpiece, I'm doing it. And I'm bringing in Giannis, even though his timeline is off with the rest of the players, excluding Harrison Barnes. But if I have to give up Fox and or Castle and or Harper, it's not a deal. I'm not doing it. I actually, guys, I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is not going to age gracefully. I think that Giannis is going to slam into a wall, okay? And we all love Giannis, but when you get older, it becomes less about athleticism, less about strength and power and torque and Hulk smash, and more about smarts, skill, okay? And he's not, smarts he's got, but he's not going to have that downshift to skill where, oh, wow, I can't physically dominate these guys. Okay, what's next? He's not going to have that counter. So I no. And if I'm Milwaukee, I would love to get Stephon Castle as a centerpiece in a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. But, I'm done with this little bit right here. Would Giannis help or hurt the San Antonio Spurs? And if you want to take a bite out of Doc and Dwight's Stephon Castle debate, get in here.
Yeah, we'll go around the horn. We'll cover it all. First of all, you know, Dwight inspired me as he apologized for what he had said or how he thought about Steph Castle before the draft. I'm ready to do a little mea culpa as well. And that goes to what we all said about the Spurs a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about, like, are they going to be okay or pontoon without Victor Wembanyama? Last 10 games, man, 7-3. They're 7-0 in the division. They're 17-7 across the board. This team is good, even without Victor Wembanyama. Their timeline has jumped so high and above what everybody expected them to be. It's incredible. Now, will this last? I mean, will Wembanyama stay healthy? Will he come back and suddenly they're good again? Will he play well with De'Aaron Fox? I'm not so sure. There's so much to unpack with the Spurs, way more than the Knicks. The Knicks are like clear and clean. Like, don't do anything. You did all you needed to do already. You stumbled into Brunson. Well, you know what? You did a great job bringing Brunson into the fold and then getting him to take less money. So you're set up, man. You keep on Anunoby, keep Mikal Bridges, keep Cat if that's what you want to do, and see where this goes, obviously, for the next couple of years. Again, I still think there's something to be said about Giannis. I don't necessarily think he's going to go into a wall, at least in the next 3 or 4 years. 35 plus, yes, but there's one more contract out of him. There's one more great run. His numbers across the board, even in the shortened games that he's played this year, are still incredible. There's been no drop-off, at least this year, when he's played. Now, as far as the San Antonio Spurs are concerned, this is where it gets really interesting, okay? And again, it speaks to the Bucks. Like, do they want to take on Devin Vassell and the next 3 years of he's owed $75 million on the books for the next 3 years, about $25 million a year starting next year, okay? If you're the San Antonio Spurs, like, I don't want to give up Steph Castle or Dylan Harper at this point based on what they're doing and how they're ascending. You have to suddenly pay Wembanyama. He's on the books for the next 2 years at under $20 million, but he's about to sign some gargantuan contract, obviously. Harrison Barnes comes off the books. Kelly Olynyk comes off the books next year. And Sohan comes off the books next year. And you've got to think about what you want to do with those guys. Do you want to keep? Do you want to move on? There's so much going on with the Spurs right now. What does the front office do? And compare this to what they're thinking about in Milwaukee. To me, if you're going to do anything, actually, it would be De'Aaron Fox. Get off that contract. It's way too big, even for how well De'Aaron Fox is playing. I still think he lands somebody else. But it doesn't necessarily mean he needs to land up on the Bucks. I mean, if you're the Bucks, you have to bottom out. This I want to come back to again. I really want to put on perspective. You owe way too much money to Dame Lillard over the next 5 years. You are completely bereft of draft picks right now. And the one player you put a lot of money and resources into, Miles Turner, is not working out. You need to turn this ship around, okay? You need to get whatever great pick San Antonio is sitting on, because they're sitting on a lot from Atlanta, and they've got an interesting one in 2028, I believe, from Boston that's only top one protected. Get back what you can from them in a trade if you were to give up Giannis and San Antonio decides this is worth their weight to go for the next 3 years doing this, and get De'Aaron Fox on another team, you know, as part of the trade package, and get more picks from some other team. Brooklyn, I'm thinking, is possibly a choice as well. That's how I'm looking at Milwaukee. Milwaukee should not be trying to bring back anybody who's going to make a difference in the next 2 years. Compile draft picks and get a super young player you could build around. If they somehow comprise Steph Castle or Dylan Harper as part of that package, then they should do that as well. But I don't think San Antonio is going to do that at this point. They're seeing too many good things out of both of those guys and a future as their backcourt with Victor Wembanyama. That's how I look at this. Would Giannis Antetokounmpo help the San Antonio Spurs? Again, going back to the idea that, yes, a guy who has not had any dropouts as of yet, he would help 29 other teams in the league no matter what. He's just that dominant.
And so is A.M. Pfeffer. So is Dr. X. So is Dwight Walton. I'm Rick Kamla. We are Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Are you guys ready for some fantasy goodies? Are you guys ready for Cam's fantasy goodies? So we're going to do a little NBA. We're going to do a little NFL start sit. And for the NBA, want to help you guys on the waiver wire. And most of us are playing fantasy basketball. And hopefully a lot of our audience members are as well. Maxime Reynaud is the center for the Sacramento Kings. 22% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Sabonis is currently out with the torn meniscus in his left knee, may eventually be traded. They just started Nick Clifford last night. They're starting Reynaud, 2 rookies, so that the youth movement is kind of starting in Sac. He went 15-9 last night against Jokic. Over the last 2 weeks, Reynaud's at 15-7 with close to a block and close to a 3. He's been a pretty good player here, and he's a big part of the future for Sac. Jay Huff of Indiana, 31% rostered in Yahoo leagues, which makes no sense to me. He leads the league in shot blocking, okay? Jay Huff, did you guys know that? He's at 2.5 blocks a game. Isaiah Stewart is second at 2 blocks a game. What about Wembey? Well, the guys have played enough games, okay? In the last week, Jay Huff is averaging 4.5 blocks per game. Over the last 2 weeks, 3.7 blocks, and on the season, he's at 2.5. And then finally, Jeremiah Fears of New Orleans, 29% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Again, makes no sense to me. He's going 15 points, 3.5 boards, 3 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.2 threes, and shooting 44%. And I think those numbers are going to grow as the year goes along. All right, sticking with the NBA here, I got Cam's heroes and Cam's zeros. The hero is Nikola Jokic, all right? He is on pace, guys, to become the first player since Wilt Chamberlain back in 1967-68 to lead the league in rebounding and assisting. It's happened one time. Of course it was Wilt, okay? Wilt averaged 23.8 boards and 8.6 assists. Wilt led the league in assists. Yep, that happened. Jokic last night against Sac in 3 quarters, 36, 12, and 8, made 14 of 16 shots. Stupid Bill, okay? It's unbelievable. It threw 3 quarters. And I know it's Sac, but it doesn't matter. It's an NBA team. On the season, Jokic is at 10.9 assists, 10.9. Number 2 is Cade Cunningham at 9.3. That's over. And the rebounding is not over. Jokic is at 12.3, and Doc's guy Cat is at 12. He's leading the league in rebounding and assists. Unbelievable. Cam's zeros is Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel Quickley, how do you miss the cup game against the New York Knicks, your former team, with an illness that he played through on Sunday? Help me understand. He played through it on Sunday. That might have been, Dwight Walton, correct me if I'm wrong, that might have been the biggest home game for the Raptors since winning the title in 2019.
Since the championship. Agreed.
You got to suit up for this game. I knew this game was over the minute I saw IQ ruled out. I'm like, no IQ, no Barrett. I'll kind of watch that. I watched the first half and clicked and did something else. I just moved on. I'm like, this game's over. Dwight, was that the biggest home game in Toronto since 2019?
Oh, without question. And you heard, I know Phil was trying to make fun of me on the group chat when he said, oh, that Toronto crowd is really good. And then he goes, where's Drake? I don't see Drake. I get it. I understand. Trust me. I see everything, right? But you're right. The minute Immanuel Quickley was announced as not playing, I tuned out myself. I knew they were going to compete in the first half. They're an NBA team. You guys know how I feel about the Raptors. They have a great roster if healthy, but the season has started to spiral a bit ever since Quickley went down to the illness, R.J. Barrett's knee concerns, and Jakob Poeltl has been playing through a serious back issue. So there are problems there. That's why you're hearing Anthony Davis to the Raptors rumors a lot here. That's going to ramp up, especially here in Canada. If the Raptors, Bobby Webster, and that front office sees a window to where they think they can get Anthony Davis, you're going to see either one of Quickley or R.J. Barrett, along with Poeltl, go to the Mavericks in that type of deal. That's the talk right now that I'm hearing. So we'll see. But to your point, Rick, this was no question the biggest game in Raptors history since the 2019-2020 championship season, and especially how the Raptors had done poorly in the two previous seasons of the NBA Cup. They went 4-0, got to host a quarterfinal game against the vaunted New York Knicks, and then you decide not to play. Now, I'm not going to sit here and know what Immanuel Quickley's illness was, but you try to play through that, man. The game was too important. There was money on the line. There was prestige on the line. You were on national television, albeit Amazon Prime. But the Raptors don't get many opportunities to be seen by the national audience. And that was a perfect opportunity right there. And listen, again, I'm not going to sit here and to say I know Immanuel Quickley. Maybe the illness was serious enough for him to sit out, but I would have liked to have seen him at least try and play through that to see what they could have done in the quarterfinals against the Knicks.
I love it, man. All right, so let's get to some start sit for the NFL, get you guys prepared. It's the fantasy playoffs, by the way, the fantasy football playoffs. Either started last week, they start this week, or they start next week. Most leagues start them this week. So a little start sit. Quarterback position, Lamar Jackson, start him at the Bengals. He was okay last week, not great. Touchdown throw, touchdown run. But he did have his highest yardage total on the ground since returning from injury. The Bengals have allowed the third most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. A great matchup. Fire up Lamar Jackson. Sit at the quarterback position, Jordan Love at the Broncos. Love has thrown for fewer than 240 yards in 5 straight games. Touchdowns have been pretty good, but the yards haven't. And now he faces Denver. They've allowed the third fewest TD passes this year. Tough matchup. It's at a mile high. And I would say to sit Jordan Love. Running back start. Travis Etienne of the Jaguars at home against the Jets. Since Jax's bye week, Etienne is going 16.4 fantasy points per game. And since week 10, the Jets have allowed the most rushing TDs in the NFL. Okay, it's a great matchup. Running back sit is the adversary, Breece Hall of the Jets, going down to Jacksonville. He had 43 yards last week in a great matchup against Miami. What the heck's up with that? The Jaguars allow the fewest rushing yards to running backs this season. Terrible matchup, sit Breece Hall. Wide receiver start is Jalen Waddle at the Steelers on Monday night. Waddle is at 14.3 PPG fantasy points since the Tyreek Hill injury. The Steelers defense is not good. They've allowed the second most yards to receivers this season. Giddy up Jalen Waddle. Sit Michael Pittman. The Colts wideout up in Seattle. Massive quarterback questions. Is it going to be Riley Leonard? Is it going to be Phillip Rivers? Terrible matchup against the Seahawks, who are phenomenal, especially against quarterbacks and wide receivers. And at the tight end position, guys, start Dalton Kincaid at the Pats. He came back after missing 3 games last week and scored. He and Josh Allen have a nice thing going this year, and the Pats are in the bottom 10 in terms of points allowed to tight ends. And then sit Hunter Henry of the Pats at the Bills. Terrible matchup. The Bills have allowed the second fewest yards and just 2 touchdowns to tight ends this year. And those guys are Cam's goodies for this week. Are you guys ready to rant, or do we have maybe any commentary on what I just presented to you guys? Or are you guys ready to rant?
Well, I love what you presented on the basketball side. I kind of got burned. I had family in town, and I had Drake London sitting. I'm actually in my starting lineup, and then he got ruled out.
He didn't
So
play.
he didn't play. Yeah. So I'm kind of done in my first round matchup, but I wasn't expected to win anyway for that round. But yeah, I have Jay Huff on my roster, Rick, and I'm really glad about the block shot. So I'm just trying to pair him up with somebody that can really help me dominate that category. So I picked up what's the guy's name who's always injured, Time Lord.
Yeah, Robert
Robert
Williams.
Williams.
Yeah, Robert
Robert
Williams. Which I always forget why he's called Time Lord. But yeah, I picked up Robert Williams, and hopefully he plays some games, but he's always missing some time anyway. So but yeah, you guys go ahead with the rants. I think my rant is just my fantasy team, and this is like a mini all-star break with this in-season tournament. And so it's kind of good because some of your players get refreshed, but some teams that are in good rhythm, like the Celtics, were in good rhythm, and now they lost to the Bucks yesterday. But in terms of stats, I think it's good for the players to rest up and be fresh by next week.
I love it, Dr. Jay Huff on Dr. X's team. He's been killing the waiver wire in the X-Rated Sports Network Fantasy Basketball League, in which I'm so mid, and it's so frustrating. But it's a long year. I ain't done yet, but I'm so mid right now. I'm looking up at AM. I'm looking up at Doc like, I'm usually up there with the big boys. What's going on? It's a very competitive league. All right, I got to hit you guys with a rant that I'm pretty excited about, okay? Got to hit you guys with a rant, and it's about the New York Mets. And it's about how stupid and clueless the New York Mets have been, currently are, and always will be. The New York Mets aren't quite as bad as AM's Jets or the Browns or the freaking Clippers, but they're getting there. All right? Pete Alonso, the polar bear, walking 40 home runs and 110 RBI every year. Just go to Baltimore. 5 years and $155 million. How do you not pay Alonso that? Pete Alonso's deal with the Orioles makes him the highest average annual value for any first baseman in history. But he's that good. Guys, Pete Alonso, according to reports, went back to the Mets after getting the offer from the Orioles, and the Mets did not offer a contract. They should have just said, okay, cool, 5 and 155. You're not going anywhere. Don't pack your bags, take your house off the market. You're staying here. But Mets owner Steve Cohen is a massive hypocrite. This guy's worth $23 billion. $23 billion. And he's squabbling over $155 million. Are you high? What is happening here? Guys, Steve Cohen is the richest owner in Major League Baseball. There's nobody with more money in baseball than Steve Cohen. Not even the Dodger guy who spends billions of dollars on pitchers, on 3 pitchers. But you can't go 155 on the polar bear. I'm not a Mets fan. I just hate GM malpractice. Okay? Like, I ultimately don't care. I'm going to take Pete Alonso in the second round of all my fantasy baseball drafts. I do it every year, and he bangs home runs and RBI and helps me win titles about half the time, about 40% of the time. Steve Cohen is operating on a budget like my small market Twins, who are so poor or cheap that they struggle to keep the lights on for 81 home games, okay? The Mets are not poor. Steve Cohen is cheap, very cheap, fatally cheap for the New York Mets, who will suck this season. All of the oxygen has been sucked out of the New York Mets, just like when Shohei Ohtani left the Angels. Whoop, vacuumed out. You're dead. You're roadkill, okay? Given up for dead. Not even hardcore Mets fans can get excited about this team because their beloved polar bear has been uprooted, and now he's playing in Baltimore, and they're not going to go get a bunch of Orioles gear all of a sudden, okay? It's one thing if the contract is 10 years and $500 million. I get it. Thumbs up. Don't sign it. Those contracts always suck. They never work out. They're albatrosses for every team that signs them, okay? But 5 years at $30 million a year for Pete Alonso. He just turned 31. So this contract is going to be his age 31, age 32, age 33, age 34, and age 35 seasons. Not 38, 39, 40. He's still going to be a complete and total badass in these years. Okay? It sets up perfectly for the Orioles to get the best out of him. And then, 5 years from now, he's probably going to start dipping a little bit. He's played 162 games 2 years in a row, basically perfect attendance for 5 straight years. And over the last 5 years, he averages 39 homers and 111 RBI. And you let him go to Baltimore for $30 million a year when you are the richest owner in Major League Baseball. Make it make sense, Steve Cohen. All right, Dwight, Walton, Ray, and Pfeffer, you're up next with your rant here on Beyond the Surface. Dwight Walton, what's up?
You know what? I wanted to chime in when the great coach Lionel Hollins was speaking about his injuries to his body. So I'll just document the injuries I've had to my body. I've had my jaw broken, all 4 of my wisdom teeth taken out. I've had elbow surgery. I've had 5 knee surgeries, all meniscal tears. I've had both hips replaced. I've had a dislocated shoulder. So my body has been through the ringers, but I would not change anything for the world. I wanted to be a professional athlete since I was 7 years old, and my dream was fulfilled. I played hockey growing up for 10 years. I played baseball growing up for 10 years. Basketball came into my life at the end of the 7th grade, and then from the 8th grade on, I fell in love with this sport that I passionately talk about today. It's made my life, and it's given me the platform to just speak about my experiences, and I give back my knowledge to the game. I've aged quite a lot because of these injuries, but again, I wouldn't change it for the world. All that to say, I am excited, and I'm pulling for 44-year-old Phillip Rivers to have some form of success with the Indianapolis Colts as they make a playoff run here towards the end of the National Football League season. Now, does this speak to the quality or lack thereof at the quarterback position in the National Football League and how it's the most important position in North American professional sports? Possibly. But if Phillip Rivers has kept himself in relatively decent shape and he still has the arm that he had 5 years ago when he retired, I would like to see this be successful. I've been watching and listening to all of the talk shows. As you guys know, that's what I do. And I've heard all the pundits basically make fun of this move. And I get it. He is 44 years old. He hasn't played a professional football game in 5 years. The speed is different. The physicality is different. I get it. I understand it. But I'm here to see Phillip Rivers succeed. So if there's nobody in his corner, I'm here to say that Dwight Walton, Phillip Rivers, I'm in your corner. I want to see you succeed. I think things are trending to where at the very least there'll be some packages from head coach Shane Steichen for Phillip Rivers to play this Sunday. If not, start the game outright. I'll be watching. I hope he's successful, and I hope he gets to be successful for the regular season to see this story unfold. It'll definitely be the story of the NFL season. And no disrespect to Mike Vrabel, Drake May, and the New England Patriots and their ascension in the AFC. I want to see Phillip Rivers do great things starting this Sunday as an Indianapolis Colt.
Amen to that, man. Totally here for the 44-year-old. If he plays, Riley Leonard, the reports are good on him. Return to practice. I think it was a full practice. So Leonard's probably going to get the start here, but maybe not. It's still a question mark here on Friday, and we will soon find out. A.M. Pfeffer, hit us with your rant.
Hey, Phillip Rivers, I hope you play phenomenally personally for your own stats, but since my New York Jets own your Indianapolis Colts first-round pick, thanks to the Sauce trade, I still hope you go 0-4, just in case you're the starting quarterback for the rest of the year. But man, I hope every game is 303 touchdowns, just as long as your team loses. Phil, I'm so sorry that it's not working out in your first-round pick. You should try what I did this year, which is end up in first and have a bye for the first round of the playoffs. That's always helpful.
I love that.
And but you do have Jay Huff on your team, who I drafted the very night. I think he was my last pick. Maybe it was him or Herb Jones. And I was kind of excited about getting him on the team. And of course, I subsequently dropped him foolishly early on in the season. And I wish I had him back. I really do. And as far as Jokic is concerned, I'm so glad we picked up back on him. And Rick, you mentioned him earlier again in the fantasy studs of it all. To your point, my man, and this kind of goes back to the NBA MVP conversation. Yeah, Jokic is leading his team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. SGA is leading his team in points. Again, no disrespect to SGA. He's amazing, and I'll probably put him back at the top of the race later on the next time we have this conversation. So thank you. That's really just my rant for the day.
All right. So time for a shout out before we get out. And I want to kind of dial it down here. Former NBA player Jason Collins has come out and announced he has stage 4 brain cancer. So Jason, we love you out here. We're thinking of you. We're praying for you and sending you strength and blessings as you deal with this. And I just want to send you a shout out, let you know that we're thinking of you and we're sending you empathy and love and blessings, man. And that's my shout out, guys. You guys got a quick shout out before we wrap up the show?
I want to second that. It's a tough situation right now for Jason and the Collins family. It's just do what you can. We're praying for you, and just it's tough, man. And when you hear stories like that, and the diagnosis is not good. Let's just keep it real here. It's just praying for him and his family to be together at this time and to just share moments, be grateful, be thankful, be happy, and do the best you can with this situation.
Just want to shout out to all the teams out there that are trying to be creative with their potential trade rumors and trade options. Monday it's on and popping. So just want everybody to be locked in and do the right thing by these players.
I'm excited for that as well. Phil, that's a good one.
That ain't gonna happen, Doc. We know that. That ain't happening.
Not gonna do right by the players.
15.
Never.
It's like July 1st. It's like July 1st all over again.
Yes.
By the way, I got a random shout out for education because having Coach Hollins on it, I love listening to him speak like a coach. You can just tell when somebody's like meant to be a coach and a great coach. And it just got me thinking. And I'm like, I loved listening to him talk. I didn't want to even ask a question or after we did, and just loved your questions to him and what it was because of who he was. And then, I don't know, my mind just kind of steamrolling. So I'm going to shout out to the Los Angeles Public Library because recently I'm using the hell out of the Libby app and just bringing over as many rented books into my Kindle as possible. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but you don't have to actually go library. You could just download and borrow books on their Libby app, and you probably have it in your hometown. But the Los Angeles Public Library is getting it done. I feel better educated for it, and I feel better educated for having Coach Hollins on the pod today, or the show today. He was incredible. That was awesome. So thank you, Rick, for bringing him on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I really appreciate you saying that. I read ESPN.com, and I read Hoops Hype, and I read box scores, and that's what I read. I just, it's, I'm kind of that way over here. I'm not as studious as you and Dr. X, man. I'm just a sports media guy and a drummer over here. That's all we're doing, man. That's all we're doing. All right, we are out of here, guys. We really, really appreciate your eyes, your ears, your patronage. We love you guys. Please subscribe to the X-Rated Sports Network YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate that. For Dr. X, for Dwight Walton, for AM Pepper, for Jason Arambula, our producer, for Kai Josephson, our video director, I'm Rick Kamla. See you Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with the next edition of Beyond the Service. Have a great weekend, everybody.